It's time for the Swesco 66th Anniversary Celebrations and Alumni Homecoming. The dates, Friday 21st of March 2025 through till Sunday the 23rd of March 2025. Now on Friday at 10 a.m. at the school complex, How I Got There. At 1:30 p.m. at the forecourt of the school complex, Alumni Interhouses Gary Soakings Experience. At 6 p.m. on campus, Candlelight Procession. At 8 p.m. at the school complex, Alumni Roll Call and Welcomes Jam with the Kwampa Band. On Saturday at 8 a.m. at the Esther Hansen Grounds, Speech and Prize-Giving Ceremony. At 1 p.m. the commissioning of the new Masters Flats. At 1:45 p.m. at the school complex, Alumni All-Year Groups Lunch. At 7 p.m. at the school complex, Alumni Dance Party with Inchin Chin Band. Then on Sunday at 9 a.m., Thanksgiving service at the Esther Hansen Grounds. It's the 66th anniversary celebrations and alumni homecoming of Swesco. Semper Cum Optimus, always with the best. This March, we invite you to splash in the pool of cultural expressivity and soak yourself in the celebration of indigenous authenticity in our Heritage Month. Join us for the Heritage Month launch on Friday, February 28th as we kick off a month of unforgettable experiences. Pack your bags for the Heritage Caravan, a week-long adventure across Ghana from March the 2nd to the 9th. Discover the beauty and history of our land. Savor the flavors at the Back to Your Village Food Festival, a culinary extravaganza on March 29th and 30th. Taste the essence of Ghana. Tune in to the Heritage On Air series on 97.3 CDFM and Channel 1 TV. Feel the rhythm of our music, journey through our religious history, and indulge in indigenous Ghanaian food. Join us to celebrate our heritage this Heritage Month, where every moment is a story. Only on Channel 1 TV and 97.3 CDFM.
Of their labors, toils of the brave, which have brought return.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to The Big Issue. The Big Issue is live on 97.3 City FM and it's your platform for incisive analysis and riveting conversation. We do this every Saturday from 9 a.m. to 12 midday, where we assemble the very best to discuss the topical issues that have arisen in the course of the week. So today, quite a number of matters have come up in the week. Key amongst them being the search or raiding of the home of the former governor of the Bank of Ghana and a number of invitations and arrests that have been made in respect of matters the state investigative bodies say they are looking into. The week started off with some national security personnel led by Richard Jakpa raiding or visiting or searching the home of former governor of the Bank of Ghana. Many people have said many kinds of things about it, whether it was legal, it was illegal, whether it followed due process or not, the mode or method of the search, why a person like the former governor's home will be searched, etc. This morning, we will table this, or we are tabling this, and we will dissect the issues, whether anybody is above the law, whether there is a way the search must be conducted. Indeed, a minority leader, Afenyumakin, alleged that the operatives stole 10,000 cedis belonging to the family of Mr. Addison and jewelry belonging to the wife. This is one of the very first times we are hearing this in our long years of searching and investigating people's homes, that operatives have stolen money and have stolen some valuables. We will look at that and see what really the issues are. Others who have said that it is time we moved away from these kinds of investigations. But should that be the point really? Searches and raids, we are told, are part of the process. Should we be looking at putting an end to these kinds of things? What do you think? We'll be happy to know what you think, and your voices will be heard. People think that it's an abuse of power. Others also think that it is a mode of exacting accountability. We'll delve into all of that. Also on the program, the MPP has issued a statement notifying the public and Adwoa Safo that she will be hauled before the disciplinary committee because of making comments they deemed detrimental to the fortunes and the cohesion of the party. Indeed, Adwoa Safo has been speaking this week, saying quite a number of things about things that happened in her constituency, Dome Kwabena, against Michael Kwe Jr. and Professor Michael Kwe himself, and a number of things that she feels affected the party in the last election. The MPP, as you may know, is seeking to find answers to the reasons why they lost the election. They've set out the Professor Michael Kwe committee, and they are doing their work. We understand they were given 3 months to conclude that work, and we're in the 3rd month, and they are hoping to conclude it before or by end of the month. They have issued a statement saying that people should not be seen venting on air. Adwoa Safo appeared to have done so, and they have quoted the appropriate constitutional provisions of their constitution, saying that she breached the law, and so she will be hauled before the disciplinary committee. She doesn't appear fazed. We understand she also attended another interview the day after the statement was issued, and some senior members of her party had to drive to her house to stop her from going out for that interview. What's happening in the MPP? We want to understand, and we will delve into that as well later today. The show is live and interactive as always. You can join us via our WhatsApp line 020-444-7033 or 0549-986-996, and we'll be happy to share your views with the rest of the world. My name is Selorm Adonoo. I'll take a short break. I'll return, provide some updates, introduce my guests, and then we'll get a discussion underway. Once again, you're welcome.
Our heritage is all we have, and as the years unfold without proper archiving, we may lose it. From the days of oral storytelling and now to having a whole library filled with hundreds of thousands of books to help us remember our heritage. Paul Ninson, an archivist, photographer, founder and executive director of Dikain, will be our guest.
This is the last talk of Kwame Nkrumah in Kokri, Guinea, in his office, his last office.
It's heavier?
Yes. This is Kwame Nkrumah's last pen in his office in Kokri, Guinea.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Accompanying him will be Ancient Ghana Band, who took us back home to our indigenous music. Join Firma Edunyame this Sunday on the Upside Down Show at 7 p.m. prompt, only on Channel 1 TV.
You're welcome back. This is The Big Issue. We are live on 97.3 City FM. We are also live on our socials and, of course, on Channel 1 television. My name is Selorm Adonoo. This morning, we are looking at two key issues. There's been a number of security matters, raids or searches in people's homes, some invitations and detentions. As we speak, we understand that the former boss of the National Signals Bureau, Kwabena Edu Boahen, is actually in the custody of the security agencies undergoing some processes, some investigation on some matters we will delve into. And indeed, the Deputy Attorney General, Justice Remstrai, says that he visited himself and his wife, and they appear to be doing well, and they have access to their lawyers. And not sure why the wife is there as well, but we will find out in the course of the program. Also, Kenneth Furata's home was searched or raided earlier in the week. Not Kenneth Furata, former governor of the Bank of Ghana. And that has raised a number of concerns. We understand that the security operative disengaged or dismantled the CCTV equipment. Why so, we do not know. We will find out. We're hearing some interesting things that the cameras were actually fixed in a manner that showed what was happening at the Bank of Ghana in his home. We do not know, but we will find out more around that. The question really is, how should these processes be carried out? Are these processes, in accord with law? We understand this was done, so the previous one with Kenneth Furata, we are not sure. But does it mean that once a warrant is secured, whatever happens in the home is legal and is in accord with due process, or there's a way it must be carried out? We will get all those answers this morning. Also, the MPP has had some issues. They've invited Adwoa Safo to their disciplinary committee. She's been speaking this week. She's been saying things the party doesn't find palatable. The party says those things do not engender party cohesion and unity, and that they passed a statement that nobody should vent in the manner she was doing on radio or on air. There's a committee set up to look into the reasons why the party lost their election. If you have problems, see the committee and talk with them. But I just have a peculiar problem. The person who chairs the committee is Professor Michael Quay. Professor Michael Quay's son contested her in the Dome Kwabena primaries and defeated her. Michael Quay Jr. appears to be a perennial foe of Adwoa Safo. And so a lot of matters have happened. She's been speaking about how her family is being treated and a whole lot. We will see whether the party's action is proper or it amounts to gagging people from expressing their views. What really is anti-party behavior? What really is doing things not to engender party cohesion? We'll look at all of that today. So my guests this morning are the respected COP retired Bright Odro, who is a former Director General of the CID, Ghana Police Service. He will help us understand some things in respect of this. Is a former investigator by virtue of his position he held at the CID. Nick Papo Samuado is a member of the NDC, is a private legal practitioner. Seth Champon is a former Eastern Regional Minister and a former chair of the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament. Franklin Kujo also be here as well. And Professor Kujo Apije Tuya is a professor of law at the University of Ghana School of Law. These are my guests. But before that, let me provide you with some updates. Now, the minority in Parliament has accused some officials of the national security led by Richard Jakpa of stealing an amount of 10,000 Ghana cedis and jewelry belonging to, following a raid of the residence of the former governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison. The raid, which took place on Wednesday, 19th March 2025, occurred at the Roman Ridge property of Dr. Addison in Accra. Addressing journalists, the minority leader Alexander Afenyomarkin stated that such Rambo-style approach of party foot soldiers disguising themselves as national security operatives to raid the residence of former government appointees serves as a disincentive to investors. Channel 1's parliamentary correspondent Nia Ikukan has more in the following report.
Armed men numbering about 20 and led by Richard Jakpa, Director of Special Operations at the National Security Secretariat, conducted a search at the private residence of the former governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison. Addressing journalists on the matter, the Minority Caucus alleged that the national security officers stole an amount of 10,000 Ghana cedis and jewelries from the former governor of the Central Bank. The caucus, led by Alexander Afenyomarkin, called on President Mahama to halt such Rambo-style approaches towards former government appointees.
Unfortunately for the governor, some 10,000 cedis on his bed could not be found. So some of these hungry party foot soldiers that they use, who parade themselves as national security operatives, after all, perhaps not even being paid and they use this opportunity to steal. The governor's wife's earrings and necklaces were also not traced. They couldn't be found. In other words, those operatives stole these earrings and necklaces.
The House continued with its debate on the 2025 budget presented by the Finance Minister, Dr. Kasia Latofosen.
In 2011, the NDC government then embarked on SIM card registration exercise. It was done successfully without problems. It was done with the collaboration of all stakeholders in the industry. Mr. Speaker, when the NPP took over, they decided to re-register SIM cards, and I can tell you that as an industry person, we have gotten back to zero. There is nothing that has happened. And I can say...
All right, so a quick report there on the happenings in Parliament. Appenyu Makinde addressing the press on the happenings of Wednesday at the former governor of the Bank of Ghana's residence. Let's kickstart our discussion. COP retired Bright Odro, former Director General of CID, is here. Sir, good morning. Welcome to the program.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure to have you. I mean, how have you been? How is retirement?
Oh, retirement has been more relaxing. I've been retired for since 2018, so it's 7 years retirement, and I think it's really more relaxing. And you set your own agenda for the day. There's no pressure, so it's quite amazing, beautiful. Provided that probably you have the means to live like a retired officer.
I see. So, I mean, you've been away for 7 years, retired, and watching from a distance what you've done your whole life, policing. What will be your assessment of the police service we have it now compared to what you left behind?
Are you talking about the new administration?
I mean, no, since you left. I mean, the events that have happened.
Things were working normally. I think the successive IGPs were doing quite well. I think there were no complaints about them, more or less. We didn't have so many concerns being expressed by the police officers who were in and who were out until probably Dampare became the IGP. Initially, he started very well, but along the line, I think he decided to tow a certain direction which didn't augur well for the generality of the police officers. There are a number of things that he did which did not sit well with the police, and even some of us who had retired. And I believe there were people who were trying to give advice, but he wouldn't take. And so with Dampare's administration, there were so many question marks.
But the issue about Ghanaians is that when somebody comes into an office and the person is strict, the person tries to do the right things, the person blocks loopholes that hitherto people benefited from, the man is given a bad name and hanged. Is that not the same thing perhaps that Dampare faced?
Can you tell me of any loophole that he blocked?
No, because for example, we know a lot of the police people have body cams, police people stopping you, trying to extort money and all of that. We understand now they have body cams, so if they are doing those things...
You think they have body cams now? And you think maybe the extortion on the roads have stopped or what?
I mean, they have stopped, but at least when it's happening now, they know that somebody may be watching. Now we see a lot of motorbikes around, police people around every corner, visibility, people see them, they are happy.
The motorbikes have been procured for patrols, and whoever is the IGP will use them for patrols. You cannot just keep the motorbikes. There are, of course, some motorbikes where at some of the places which were not being used. I visited Bolga one day. So many of the motorbikes sitting in the open.
Why were they not used?
And then, I don't know. So if you have the motorbikes, you use them. If you have vehicles, you use them. If you have the logistics, you use them. And anybody would have done the same thing. But if there is complete discontentment among the officers who are working under you, disciplinary matters. People say discipline. What discipline? Discipline is when you don't place junior officers over and above their senior officers. At certain districts, you could see an assistant superintendent of police in charge When chief superintendent are in charge of DOFSU under the ASP, superintendent in charge of crime under ASP, you call this discipline. So many of them, about 6 or 7 station districts we had this. And apart from that, the consultation on his part was poor. And he decided to tow his own way. I mean, tow his own direction.
But there was an impression created as like he always consulted the police board. I don't know what you call the
management board.
Management board.
There was complete division.
And in fact, when he appeared before the parliamentary committee, we saw the entire police board behind him, creating the picture of a united front. And that's
you should understand, because if it's the IGP and he asks you to come, won't you come? You have to come. But the point is, there was complete division, even prior to his removal. Pumab was not Pumab, because he would call the people that he liked, or the people who were aligned to him more closely, to have meetings with. And we learned even his own staff officer he was not on good terms with. He was not being called for meetings. Certain things that happened, promotions of officers junior, were let's say promoted over and above.
How does it work? If I'm junior to you, it means I'll be junior to you my whole life.
You should be junior to him your whole life, unless probably you do something extraordinarily and then you are promoted. Even those days, if a junior does something extraordinarily and is recommended, especially when you are an officer. As for officers, we don't just promote them. It is your job to do well, to do diligent job. And so officers from ASP and above, rarely would you see anybody being promoted. I did my part. I never had any promotion. The arrest of dangerous criminal, every dangerous criminal in our time, if you talk about Cumbia, if you talk about Tai, if you talk about Lone Ranger, I was behind all these arrests. Did I earn even a single promotion? I didn't.
Because it was your job, right?
Yes, it is my job. But if somebody decides to say, oh, Mr. Bratodro did well, let us recommend him for promotion. And even in my time, if I had been recommended for special promotion, I don't think anybody would have spoken against it. But I never benefited. And I wasn't disturbed because it was my job. So for if an ASP is promoted, DSP, the next day superintendent, the next day chief superintendent, what has he done that others have not done? And it's not only one person. The whole junior group, a whole course group are promoted over and above their seniors who, let's say, were 3 jumps ahead of them. And you think they would be satisfied. So there were quite a number of things that he himself decided to do without following due process. We have the service instructions, we have the CI 76 that spell out how transfers, how promotions should be done. But these structures were ignored.
But he surely might have done, of course, people, so maybe the opinions are divided. But surely, even for those who think he was not overall very good, there should be things that he did that you think were worthy of commendation. Can you name a few of the things he did?
I don't know.
So his entire regime, you don't see even one positive?
If I say I don't know, I don't think it was, what he did was quite different. Anything positive that he did
You're just following the norm.
Yeah, exactly. You see, if you follow the books, if you follow what you call the Police Service Act 350, if you follow the service instructions, if you follow the CI 76, these regulate how the police should be administered. And once you decide to ignore them, you fall into certain temptation. And I think that is the reason why he veered off completely and decided to do his own things. You know, like if you beautify police headquarters, and I keep on saying, is beautification a police duty? What is our primary task? The primary task of the police is fighting crime, organized crime. That is the main task, the main challenge facing the police service, Ghana, and every police force in the whole world, fighting crime. And when you are able to fight crime and you let the people know what you are doing, you assure the people, then you earn that trust, public trust. And again, you should involve others in crime fighting. Not only people who give you information. His administration, how many criminals were even published that these are criminals we are looking for? There are so many crimes that have been committed and which have not been resolved. Look at the daylight Adabraka robbery. You and I, don't we need to get updates? Daylight robbery, but nobody will be allowed to talk. If we had not spoken about Atai, if we had not spoken about Kombia, you think we would have arrested them? These are dangerous criminals who were doing a lot of robberies. And if you declare them wanted, what do? Publish them. But did you ever see any dangerous criminal ever published? How often did the police engage the media?
Or maybe there's no such dangerous criminal now.
But
now maybe it's been decentralized.
But people have been killed because they said they were armed robbers. People were picked up from Tuna. Some chief inspector's nephews, 3 of them, they said they were criminals. They brought them to Accra. They had been killed.
They've been killed by who?
Police picked them up and killed them and dumped them at police mortuary. People have been killed. These 2 police officers who were sent to what do you call it, the inquiry, Pablo and one other, were they not killed?
Killed for what? They were killed at the inquiry.
They said they were suspect. They said that was what the police said. They took them on inquiry and then they were killed by those people that they were going to identify to the police. Meanwhile, no police officer was injured, no bullet marks were found on the car, and so on. And police suspects you were taken for inquiry were killed, no policemen injured. These suspects were supposed to be protected because they were in your custody, but they died. And then you come and tell us, what update did the police give? Have the police ever explained the circumstances that led to their deaths? And I talk about these 3 other people from Tuna. Have they ever explained? And then they said there were some foreigners who were picked up, 7 of them, including a pregnant woman, who were suspected robbers, and they were also killed. And people talk about extrajudicial killing. Has the police ever come out to explain the circumstances? And it is their duty to explain if somebody has been shot and killed.
I see. So now we have a new regime. What's your thought? You should know IGP now, Christian Tete, who know quite well. He was deputy to Dampari, and so I'm sure he may take credit and also bear part of the liability of the regime. What does it bring? How different will he be?
You see, if you take liability of what happened, if you take part,
but he was part of the
deputy, yes, he was part of. But if he was not allowed to work,
you know that for a fact.
Oh yes, he was not allowed to. Even he was a victim.
A victim of what?
Because his own people that he chose to work with, some of them were interdicted, some of them were transferred. A deputy IGP whose office he wanted to create with some people that he trusted. And then some of them were transferred to different part of Ghana. And then when the deputy IG said, okay, let me speak to the IG. So hold on. That also became a problem. So one of them was interdicted. And that matter is in court. Some of the policemen have taken the Dr. Dampari to court. Where does this happen? There are so many court cases against Dampari. Which IGP's regime or reign have we ever seen so many court actions? So there were problems. And all that we heard, we have been there and we hear a lot of things from, if you look at on my mobile phone, so many messages from officers about the happenings in the police service prior to his removal. And so people were completely discontent. Police officers who had been sidestepped and their juniors promoted over and above them. Officers who have been lumped into offices doing practically nothing. Those on interdiction, the gag on media engagement. You yourself, you know, why? If something happens...
Because perhaps he wanted the police service to speak with one voice.
When we were there, didn't we speak?
Maybe everybody speaking distorted.
Not everybody speaking. We have rules.
PROs.
The service instruction details how we should engage the media. And it is there, he's aware. So
what he did was to get one mouthpiece.
When that is 3 lines, one mouthpiece is 3 lines. The issue statement, 3 lines. And that is the end. A policeman was killed at Enya. Have you got any update?
The one in the bullion?
Yes. Any update?
No.
The police officer, the army officer who was killed at Ashamai, and then the soldiers got angry and then decided to vent their spleen on those people in Ashama. Any update?
We heard the police was on top of it.
Where is it? Where is the top of it? What has happened?
I see. So there have been some reshuffle recently.
Yeah.
Is it a normal thing when an IGP takes office, it does? What's your thoughts about it? You should know a lot of those people.
Oh, yes. Any IGP who comes will want to look at the caliber of officers that he has and then decide to put you somewhere at places where he thinks you can excel. And with so many issues with the previous administration, where there was complete division between top officers, those who were closely linked to the IGP and those who were not, there was the need, of course, to level up matters, to see who will fit where. And so that is what he has done. As for that, any IGP who comes, the first thing he does is to
reshuffle.
Yeah.
There's this person, COP Tiwa Adodankwa. She was at the Yoko. She came back for a role, reshuffled, and again sent to the Interior Ministry as special advisor or technical advisor to the minister. What's that about?
I don't know. Tiwa was my deputy when I was the CID boss. He was my deputy. And I've always maintained that she is a hard-working officer. But she is now the most senior commissioner. If you take away the IGP, I think she is. If not, I think she is the number 2. And I think a lot of people speak about Tiwa. He has done this. He has done this. I don't know the reason why maybe he has been moved from the police headquarters and taken to the interior. Probably they want to give the IGP space to do his work, so that there wouldn't be interference from anybody. There wouldn't be interference from the top officers who, I don't know, who probably they think might interfere with the work of the IG.
Good, great. Thanks for those updates. Now, a number of things have been happening, and your experience as former CID boss is quite critical in this. We've seen a number of searches and invitations and investigations underway in this new regime. First off, what are your thoughts on this? And let me acknowledge the Honorable Seti J. Champon, former chair of the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament and former regional minister of the Eastern Region. He's on Zoom. Welcome, sir. We'll come to you in a minute. And also my senior Nipapo Samuadu and a few others. Franklin Kujo is also on his way here, and then we'll see him shortly. So what are your thoughts on these investigations and issues being dealt with, the way all these things are happening? What's your thought on those things?
I mean, the searches that have been going on.
Yes. First of all, can we say there's been a discussion about searches generally, and the fact that a search is conducted doesn't make it illegal necessarily, correct?
No, searches may not be illegal. Searches, a police officer of the rank of superintendent can issue a search warrant or so to his subordinate to go and search a police officer without necessarily going to court. And there is the other one, which also requires that you go to court for the judge to give you a warrant to search. And most of the searches that are conducted are in respect of items believed to have been stolen and maybe stashed away somewhere. It could be money, it could be any property that are suspected stolen and being hidden somewhere. So that is when they normally issue search warrants for officers to go and search. My experience in the police is that when you are a superintendent or above, you can just fill out the form. I don't know the exact CID form. And then you indicate what is to be looked for. And then the officers who are going to do the search, the superintendent of police or above, can issue that search warrant. Alternatively, you can go to
How
court.
different is the one the senior officer can give from what you have to go to court?
We have CID forms, and then that form will be.
How different are the two? Are there circumstances that the judge or the magistrate should?
You see, it depends on the urgency of the matter. If you are investigating a case, somebody has stolen items there. Before you go to court, it may take some time before you get the magistrate to sign. So the police officer who is on the case can give that search warrant for his boys to go and search, or he himself. If he himself is part of the search party, then he is a moving warrant. So there is no point in writing, filling out a form for his subordinates. So sometimes a police officer, superintendent and above, being part of the search is a search. It's a moving search warrant. So he can go without any document and then conduct the search. The other one is from the court, where probably because of public interest and all that, nobody wants to do anything that will incur the wrath of the general public. So then the court, you go to court for the court to issue the search warrant for the warrant to be executed. But we are talking about these searches that are going on, and whether those who are conducting the search have the capacity to conduct the search. Because normally CID officers have been conducting searches and they know how to conduct search. I know Yoko also have been conducting searches, so they have officers who will be able to conduct searches. And then we have the BNI or the NIB. So we have institutions where officers in these institutions are able to conduct searches more effectively. And so if there are searches to be conducted, even if it is national security that is taking care of these searches, I mean, national security, NIB can work for national security, police, CID can work for national security, UOCO can work for national security. So for me, my problem is, why won't they use, if they are not using the police, CID, if they are not using NIB, and they are not using UOCO, and then they are using people who have question marks around them, it creates problem.
But we don't know the full complement of the team. We only see, or we've only heard of one person. But perhaps they are EOCO officers or police officers as part of the team. We do not know that yet.
Yeah, but that one person is the one that people are talking about. So why wouldn't he, if he's the director of special operations, sit back and let somebody do it?
Why should he sit back?
Why? Because is he conversant with such procedures?
Because he's been a former security person. Perhaps
he's a soldier. He was a soldier. And soldiers don't search civilians. It is not their job.
Maybe he has some training in that. We don't know.
What training? Where did he get the training from?
We don't know that.
Even police officers who are police officers, not everybody knows how to do search. When you conduct search, courtesy demands that after you have even conducted the search, the professional will tell you that you make sure that you reset the room, you reset the premises the way you came to meet it. Ask them if they did that. That is how we do searches, out of courtesy, because you go to a place, it is not a personalized issue, it's not a personal vendetta that you go and search because you are searching, you put things here and there, and when you finish, you go.
Very well. Just hold on with your thoughts there. Let me speak to the Honorable Setije Champon. He's a former Defense and Interior Committee Chair of Parliament, and he's also a former regional minister, which means that he's headed a Regional Security Council and quite conversant with some of these matters. Good morning, sir. Welcome to the program. We've seen this week a few very good and fantastic. Good to have you, as always. So this week has been interesting. A number of invitations, a number of detentions and questioning. We've seen the search in the former Bank of Ghana governor's residence. Your thoughts on this? From what the COP retired Bright Oduro is telling us, searches are a normal part of things. Of course, the way the searches are conducted is important. What are your thoughts, really?
I think I couldn't have agreed more with COP Bright Oduro. Selorm, as a counsel and a learned person practicing in the Superior Courts of Ghana, I believe you have come across a lot of cases being discussed in court, being worked on in court, that people's rights are being abused and decisions are being taken. And I believe, as you know, and most of us know, we learn from our past. I think that these excesses we are discussing should not be discussed in this day and age of our democracy. Each time we pride ourselves that we have crossed over from one administration to a different administration. And we're saying we are a beacon of democracy. Democracy comes with responsibility. Like COP Adonoo said, when you are tasked to take up an assignment, the assignment is not a personalized assignment. Once you wear the public badge, you are out there serving in the interest of the public. The public has left this country where we used to run under a military coup that took office and ran the state the way the leaders at the time chose. Over a period, 3 decades and more, we've decided on our own to practice a democracy that gives each and every person the opportunity to also speak their mind and express themselves within the confines of the law. The gentleman who is just being mentioned now, I am saying this and sometimes I get worried because before a person is appointed into a place of public interest and authority, our constitution has prescribed and giving us certain standards as measurement. You don't just put any person whose conduct in his past public office is under review into such a sensitive position. COP Adonoo, being so professional, stated that the person's training, he lacks the basics to conduct a decent search, which should be the norm and the practice under a democracy. I've heard most commentators talk about what did we see in 2017. This is 2025. Are we talking about equalization, or we're building a state and a country for ourselves? I believe we should sit back as a people and look at the things we're doing to ourselves. If you set up a bad precedents and knowing the way human beings will behave, the next time, what will be the answer? Look at the images you have shown us. The search warrant, was it stated in the warrant that if you go to a person's house and you find a rack which is recording video around the property, which will be evidence to aid after you have conducted a search, if in the event of the police taking up the matter and conducting an investigation, the police would need that evidence. How are we able to review to realize that certain officers went for a search and they misconducted themselves? Is by the big brother. By virtue of technology, we have these cameras recording each and every person's activity. Not too long ago, I'm so saddened when I got the news about a student taking the life of a fellow student in KNUST. How did the police arrive at arresting the gentleman? It was through technology, the video. So why would you go and conduct a search of not mean a person, a lesser person than the governor of the Bank of? We've had several governors. The current governor I used to be in school with in St. Peter's. My senior in Siama, I respect so much. I don't think he was more treated this way. Even if he was, should we repeat saying? Put that aside. The immediate past, no, the former finance minister, the way a manner images came from his home. Yes, the state wants to deal with an immediate public servant. We shouldn't go to him or the fellow, he or she, in that style. It doesn't add up to our credentials and our credibility as a beacon of democracy and how we want to be called. And for some of us, forever and ever, we'll criticize these actions. If the powers that be listening to us, happy for Ghana. But it is not Ghanaian. And I do you do me, as we call it in our local parlance. It's so unfortunate that I hear some people stand up to it and please, we should run away from that. It's not helping this democracy at all. And it will not help anybody. I witnessed 79 coup, I witnessed 81 coup. I've seen the transition. And fortunately, I've come to serve this country as a public servant. I live in private life today. I think we should do better, and we can do much better than that.
I see. So your problem really is not about the search, but also the one who conducted the search appears to be one that agitates your mind. Will I be correct?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. It's a teamwork. It's an operation. He's the leader. And mind you, the security service as always has been our command services. So if he is the director of operation and is commanding the men that he moves with, the officers he moves with, they go by command. What he says is what they do. I'm not just singling him out. I'm stating and advising all of us. Today, my good brothers and friends in NDC have power. We are appointing people. You should check their resume. The public service does not just recruit any person to be in high office. They check your conduct. They know who we are putting in office. It's a person who will help us. Let us grow as a country. That is what I'm saying. I'm not talking about the gentleman. I have no business with him. I have no issues with him. But the appointing authority should do proper checks before we put people in office. You did not just select me to come and speak on this platform because I have a big head. You did not bring COP Adonoo to come and sit in front of you because he's just an ordinary police officer. You brought a former criminal investigations department director general, a person who has gone through the mill, has experience, because you want to enrich the discussion. And this is the Republic of Ghana we are discussing, and this is the Republic of Ghana we are talking about. That is why I'm speaking in this spirit. I want us to grow the country, irrespective of who is ruling Ghana or governing Ghana. The right things must be done. Because I wouldn't want to go into any country. If I fall foul to the law must deal with me, Kwame Champo. I won't run anywhere. Because I sat in Parliament, I passed laws. I thought through them. I knew how the laws will work against you if you go foul against the law. And so if you are acting, you conduct yourself within, that's why we have code of practice, code of conduct. Why do we put all these measures around us? It's just to shape us. And so for me, but these are my initial comments on the search and conduct. I mean, that's why we are saying to them that put a human face. The governor has not absconded. He's not out of Ghana. He's living in Ghana with his family. So if you think he's done something untoward, there are several ways of inviting people like that. Governor of Bank of Ghana is being treated like this. How much more me, a political animal?
So what then is human face? And we understand, at least from what COP retired Odrua said, searches are important. Searches are part of the processes. If I'm to invite you to my office, you will come and tell me what questions I'll ask you or give me answers to questions. But if I think there is evidence in your home, which you may not bring, the law allows me to search your home. And it's the democracy. It's a democracy. Part of the democratic principles is accountability. And ensuring that you account for your tenure is a core part of the democracy. It's so important for the survival of the democracy. So yes, invite him. Yes, human face. Yes, but we cannot do away with the search. Do you agree with that proposition?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't know what was stated in the warrant. I haven't cited the warrant. I don't know what items led them to go and conduct a search in the governor's residence. I have not been briefed. I have no knowledge about it, so I can't speak to that warrant. But the warrant instructs the actor on certain measures. What are those measures? We are talking about a country that has passed the law, freedom of information. Should that also be put under clandestine secrecy? This is a democracy we are running. You have to. Why I'm seated here is the Republic of Ghana. If the security services need me immediately and they have to take me, they will come here. They have to conduct a search at where I'm seated. I cannot restrict them. That is what the law says we should do. We should abide by it. However, the actor in theater and in operation should also remember that I've also got some rights enshrined in the 1992 Constitution. And so, in the discharge of your duty in your service, be mindful. I have defended security services on theater work which have gone bad in times past. And so I know what I'm talking about. That is why I'm advocating that what people did in times past, which was wrong, should not be repeated. I'm not saying because it is my party and my government that just left administration. No. We've been talking about precedents, and it's a cardinal principle of life. So if you want to repeat it, you do so. If you don't want and you want to move on as refined, you do so. Let me say this. The changes that COP Bright was talking about in the Ghana Police Service, I may have different opinion as to the stewardship of Dr. George Akupu Dampari. I agree with COP Bright on certain matters that he talked about. But to conduct an operation, to arrest criminals, you require logistics, you require inputs. And even the operation theater, to conduct an investigation, you need a sound mind. And I know that he knows that we require most of these things to give us the benefit of an efficient and effective security service. And so for me, the aesthetics contributes to part of work. Yes, within the service, we may have issues with the immediate past IGP's conduct on certain promotions. And I believe in the security services, there are established practices in promoting personnel, i.e. ensuring that they go through a certain season of experience and some service practice, as well as some come by academic, because they conduct in-service intellectual exercises to also, and you build on your tactics. So there are issues that we can debate back and forth.
Very well.
But I want to beg that going forward, irrespective, in as much as we will be blunt in speaking to the truth, let us also not personalize issues. I wouldn't want to do that. That's why when you asked me, is it about the person who is leading? No, it's talking about the whole team. Because he alone can go and dismantle somebody's rack and take away the routers and take away the systems in that rack, which would give us images to discuss and verify on second opinion. And these are things that we have to work against, Selorm. Because I'll be sad that somebody comes to your studio and ransacks everything you are using to record what is going to give us a good memorial for archives and take them away. How would we be able to reference them? How would we be able to speak to them?
Very well. Franklin, I saw some of your messages in the course of the week, but I think as part of the things we talk about here every week, accountability is part of democracy. In as much as we know that the search was conducted legally, should we have a problem with it?
Well, ordinarily, no. Good morning, by the way, to my good friends on the show. Ordinarily, I don't think there's anything wrong if you were going to conduct a search. I mean, a search of this kind would have to be conducted in a very civilized manner. I mean, that's what I thought it is really. Even if the person was a hardened criminal, unless, of course, maybe you have some very real information that this person is probably a terrorist and probably is likely to cause some real damage to maybe persons or whatever. I really don't know. Probably my thinking here is that you have to probably grade the levels in terms of the warrants you have, and then the level of force that you probably need to use in doing the search. I'm not saying you should call the person and say, well, listen, I want to come to say, I want to give you a cup of coffee. And no, that's not what I'm saying. I think it is just right that when you go do a search, we don't want to hear the things that we heard. We don't want to see the things that we saw. I don't think we are at that stage where sorry, I'm not saying that we are at that stage. We've passed that stage where you want to show someone where power lies. And indeed, as the Honorable did say, and the DCOP also said, look, at the end of the day, the optics actually also matter. I mean, the persons you send. I mean, in this case, who doesn't know Mr. Jakpa, right? Jakpa seems to be this guy who is on the. We all saw what happened. The previous administration wanted to virtually nail him, and so this guy is on a mission to avenge, if not revenge. And so for me, I didn't think it was right, first of all, to use this gentleman who earlier had gone to the former finance minister's house, for which the majority leader had to apologize. You understand? So I think we don't need to. I'm a bit surprised that he's more or less the one leading this particular charge, and so. Now everything that happens, somehow you want to believe that, well, this guy is on a mission. But having said that, I think clearly this thing must be managed properly. I don't think it is in the interest of the president or in the interest of the IGP or the interest of whoever is sanctioning this to be told that, look, we are not in the banana republic, right? I mean, it should be obvious that you know what this means. The Bank of Ghana governor, assuming all the things we've heard, the tales we are hearing, that he has something in his house. Anyway, those things are not official. And I asked myself, how crude is it really that you went in simply because you want to retrieve so-called material that is being used to spy on people? I don't even know the veracity of all of that. In the same vein, people are not trying to believe that these guys who acted in a thuggish manner had gone to steal food. Sorry, food. I didn't hear that part. I was going to steal.
You didn't hear that part, but you tweeted the food bit.
Well, listen, people say all sort of things. Listen, look, as far as I heard, they're going to steal some 10,000, this, whatever. I mean, in the same way, I'm likely to not believe this cock and bull story that someone has put some, machines. Charlie, look, I think we need to get serious. The Deputy Attorney General has come to say that, in fact, he tweeted yesterday, put a post up, and it was a very sensible post, right? Essentially saying that there's a gentleman who has been picked up, and the wife and the family are there. He's going to see them and explain the process to them. If that was done specifically, probably there's a word like that, or very responsibly, I don't see why the Bank of Ghana governor should be treated like a common criminal. I mean, I don't understand. I'm not saying common criminals are not humans, but are probably more humans. But my point I'm trying to say is that I think we should act to some level of decorum. You go to do a search, you do it nicely. First of all, I'm told what we've heard. You actually tell the person, this is why we are here. So maybe the person actually even leads you, make sure it follows you to see whatever you want to take. You take it, you make sure you tell him, well, this and this is what I've taken, and then you leave. You know, if there was no, I don't get the sense that there was this civil order. Otherwise, he wouldn't have run to the minority leader to go and complain that, look, this is what they come to do to me. And I think we need to move. If there are previous infractions that have been committed by politicians, please, let's do it in a very simple manner. I don't think it is right. And I would suggest to Mr. President that I don't think Mr. Jakpa should be leading this. It's kind of a character, really. And I don't think it does any good to whoever national security or whoever sends the persons like that to go and do this kinds of searches. I think it speaks really, really badly of the service. Thank you.
Franklin, welcome to the program. Been a long while.
It's been ages.
Yes. And I see you in your Resetting Ghana T-shirts. And these searches and the manner we are conducting them, in which we're conducting them, the invitations, etc. Is this part of the resetting agenda? Is this how we are resetting the country?
Oh, good morning to your wonderful viewers. Good morning to Mr. Bright. It's been a while since I saw him. I served under him when I was state attorney as well as a prosecutor. You see, first and foremost, whatever we do in this country is governed by the Constitution and is also governed by the laws or statutes that accompany it. And so, and especially with criminal law, everything is based on statute. While nothing is a crime unless it is stated in the statute and the punishment prescribed for it. And even the procedure by which we conduct investigations, the procedure by which we do detentions, everything about criminal law is governed by statute. And so if you go out of the statute, then you are what? You are breaching somebody's fundamental human rights. And remedies are made available for such a scenario. Now, the first point is we are dealing with the issue of warrants and searches. In fact, the subject matter is searches. And whether or not police or the security agencies can embark upon searches, what is the remit of their jurisdiction when it comes to these searches? These searches or searches under the criminal law are governed by statute. There are searches that are done with warrants. There are searches that can be done without warrants. So generally searches are done with warrants. That's the general position. And it's governed by Section 88 of the Criminal Procedure Act 1960, Act 30, specifically Section 88(1), where generally a search warrant is issued by a district magistrate upon an application. And it gives the reasons or what you must convince the magistrate about in order for you to be able to gain or for the magistrate to issue the said warrant. I don't want to bore people, but there's generally where there's a suspicion that you have in your custody, or you have a premises or whatever that contains certain evidence or some piece of information, something that the police or the security agents require, and therefore they need to go in and take it. Then the court, and of course it must be connected to an alleged crime, or you must be suspected of having committed a crime with that particular item. And so once that item is in your custody, the police go to the magistrate and make the application, and the magistrate then issues a warrant for them to embark upon the search within your premises. And I like people to look at, of course, this is always a balance between your right to privacy, because everybody has a right to privacy in your home. And so when that privacy is being breached, then that privacy must be breached in accordance with what? Law. And I'd like people to take a look at this case. Selorm Adonoo versus the Attorney General and Inspector of Police, 2017, is one of the online reports. Judy Law, 67169, High Court. The late Anthony Yeboah, who was then the human rights judge, in discussing Section 88, noted as follows, quote, "This section, that is Section 88, provides in effect that where a person who is suspected of having committed," so key emphasis, where a person who is suspected of having committed or is being about to commit an offense has in his possession or under his control any item of property that is believed to be associated with the alleged or suspected commission of the offense, the person or the item may be searched by the police with a warrant that is issued under the hand of a magistrate. Thus, the right to privacy of the person is legally or lawfully limited or restricted by the issuance of a warrant by a magistrate. So, in given circumstances, your right to privacy in your home can be interfered with by a warrant issued to a security official to conduct a search. Now, even the time of conducting the search is circumscribed by law. So Section 89 says that generally the searches are supposed to be conducted between 6:30 a.m. and 6:30 p.m. However,
at the discretion of the court may authorize the police officer
on Sundays
or other person to whom it is addressed to execute it at any hour. So the court may decide that based on certain exigencies, the officer is permitted to conduct the search at any given time. Now, Section 90 and 90, let me move to even 91, that's of Act 30, talks about what happens when the items are even detained. So when items are detained from a suspect, there are rules and regulations about how it can be or how it should be used for purposes of evidence. The court can authorize the further detention even until appeal. So if the detention of the items is even governed by law, and then you come to where under sections 93 and 94, when the search can be conducted without a warrant. So it is very possible to have a search conducted with or without a warrant. Now, the next point is, are searches new under the Fourth Republican dispensation, especially when it comes to politically exposed persons? No. Since the time of President Rawlings, when President Rawlings exited power, the then officials who were in President Rawlings' government were subjected to various times of going into their homes. The late Victor Selorm, Mr. Chachu Chikata, them, all the NDC officials that were put before court, some way or somehow had their premises searched. Let's go to the immediate past, when the NDC left power in 2012. Okay, 2012. This current Minister of Justice and Attorney General.
No, 2017.
2017,
yes, 2017.
Dr. Ayine. On the advice he gave when it came to Ameri, there's been a long-established tradition that Attorney Generals cannot even be investigated for advice that they give. You don't criminalize legal advice. If you criminalize legal advice, the Attorney Generals will be open to all manner of, simply because they advise on almost every transaction in the country. Dr. Ayine was the subject of a raid on his home without a warrant. To date, when they asked Eduji, my brother Eduji was his lawyer, Eduji filed in court a search seeking to know where the warrant came for Dr. Ayine's home raid. Up to today, that search has not been answered.
So on the screen is some of the CCTV, Dr. Addison's home. And
then you have Mr. John Jinapo. In Parliament, on the floor of Parliament, he narrated his experience and the ordeal he went through with his family when his home was searched. Then you would even come to the late, Mr. Kwabra Donko, Minister for Energy. In all these instances, these persons were subjected to searches in their homes, with or without warrants. And they went through the due process. In the case of the former finance minister, for example, he has gone to court saying that he feels that his human rights have been violated under Article 33. That is the recourse to law. So if you feel that your rights have been violated one way or the other, you have the right to what? To go to court and to vindicate your right in court. That based on this, I feel that the search was not lawful, my rights have been violated, I have not been dealt with fairly. Whatever it is that you have a grievance with, you can go to court.
The point is, so Ayine, now Attorney General, then Deputy former, John Jinapo, then Deputy Power Minister, now Substantive Energy Minister, they spoke about those things because then they complained, perhaps because of how it was carried out. We have moved on, and we are in 2025. The same things they complained about, should the same things be visited on them?
I think that they made the point that their homes were raided. You understand?
And they were not happy with it.
Obviously, nobody will be. See, that point is this: when you are the subject of an investigation, you understand? Maybe we should come back to our laws and agree You see, that's the thing about politics. You begin to see things differently when you are no longer in power. But since you have subjected others to the same, they say that the same stick you used to beat Techi is the same stick that they used to beat Bar. When we have all suffered it and we decide that, okay, as politically exposed persons, knowing that cyclically we all leave power at a certain point, let's regulate even how such warrants are carried out. So let's amend the Criminal Procedure Act and come out with better or more specifics. That look, when you come to the suspect's home, you must make sure that you you don't tear the place apart. Whatever, the same state, you take pictures of how the room was when you went there. In fact, in this era of technology, make sure that the search is recorded. All searches must be recorded, so that there must be a video evidence of the manner in which the search is carried out. Let us have the room, the same way you saw the state of the room. It must be the same way you live. You will recall when the FBI raided Puff Daddy's. You saw the state of the room, the way they left Puff Daddy's residences. They don't come back and clean up. You saw the state of the houses as it were when they raided. So even if there are advanced jurisdictions in the US and other places, police raid and FBI raid people's homes and they leave it in a state where the people feel dissatisfied with the state. How much more Ghana?
Yeah, but they can learn from us. We can be better.
Exactly. Great. So if you are now calling for reforms, let us call for reforms. He made a point that the proper thing to do is to leave I leave that one to him because he is the professional.
Professionally, you don't go and make
a mess.
Put the blame.
Yes, I understand.
And just leave.
I agree with you
because it is not like I said. It is not a vendetta.
Of course,
personal vendetta.
Of course,
it is a case. It is an investigation.
You are looking for something.
Yeah, you are looking for. So once you finish, you must also show courtesy to the person that has.
I agree with you.
But what you are saying about those searches that were made in the past,
correct,
against
Ayine.
I don't think they had warrants.
Well, they said they had some of them said they had warrants.
And again, the warrants. Who were the warrants given to?
In fact, in the case of Dr. Ayine, his phone, his laptop were seized by sent to Kroll as an associate in the UK.
Yes.
Eduji went to pick it from the police after they had conducted their investigations.
Those doing the searches are not professionals who have been trained to do searches. And this is what we want to discuss.
What I hear from my friends in the MPP is calls for reform. And I agree that once you have, the thing is this, you only become politically wiser when you leave power. And when the same thing you did to your opponents is applied to you, then you begin to feel that, so what I was doing when I was in power, this is the same way it feels. So now that probably we've had the full circle, and we agree that, look, this thing about searches and this thing, maybe there's a better way of doing it. Let us agree and then introduce legislation in Parliament. You understand? Nothing prevents the minority leader and other MPs from introducing a bipartisan bill in Parliament governing how searches should be conducted.
To protect the political class?
Not to protect the political class, but to say that it is after we felt it, we all agree that, look, we could do it better. You understand? So let us introduce enhanced legislation to regulate how searches should be conducted. He presents this because Parliament is a house of record. We will all be better informed. To get further information, there's a right of information that everybody is available to every citizen to be able to get the necessary information. But I know that they have indicated that these, especially the Deputy Attorney General, that all the persons whose houses were raided with the full authorization of the Office of the Attorney General. And they are suspects in specifically related offenses. They've stated those kinds of offenses. And so we are waiting. I think that Tuesday is just around the corner. I will wait. Let the Minister of Interior come forth.
The dismantling and the disengagement of his CCTV gadgets, what was that for?
I repeat.
But I saw your comment on.
I've made that one is on social media. I've made my post on social media. I'm still waiting for Tuesday. Let Tuesday come. I will not be pushed to make a comment on
but
that.
The other point is, I mean, the minority leader has made some allegations.
Yes.
That the operatives stole money and jewelry. What information do we have on that?
So you see, you've heard a number of interesting allegations that have been made. Let's wait for Tuesday. I mean, with this conversation is not going to die anytime soon. We will come back to it. The Minister of Interior will be asked because the minority leader made the allegation. He's in Parliament. He will confront him with those allegations in Parliament. He will respond to it. Then we are all better informed on what transpired, what happened, what it is that, and then we proceed. Because if you come and raid my house and indeed then he will make a complaint. As we sit here, I don't know whether Dr. Adesi has made any complaint to the police that 10,000 has been stolen, his wife's jewelry has been stolen. Because when somebody steals something from...
Who says it has been stolen? Maybe they've taken
so
it as exhibit.
So let's wait and see.
Okay, maybe they've taken it as exhibit.
But my comment on the disabling of... because if he has installed equipment that enables him to see things he shouldn't see, I think
that's alleged.
I think he should have been invited first of all. He should have been invited to. This is what we have, and explain why you have these facilities or this equipment in your house. And if he's not able to give any satisfactory answer, and it requires that he be arrested, yes, he could be arrested and then taken to the house.
But should he be invited before, or the equipment should be taken?
No, I think he should be invited. First of all, we should question him about those equipment in the house.
But how do you know the equipment are in the house when you have not been there to search it?
They've got intelligence information that these were equipment in the house. I don't know.
But he may say yes or no. If he says no, before you go and raid the house, or you go and see.
But
you go and see the equipment.
Who do you think will admit to such things?
So do you go and see the equipment so you can put it to him that this was in your house?
What I'm saying is there may be intelligence about this equipment in his house, which enables him to see things he shouldn't otherwise see. And so then he will be invited and questioned about those equipment. And if he's not able to give any satisfactory answer, or whatever answers he provides are not satisfactory, then either he should be arrested. Once you are arrested, you can be searched immediately. And then you'll be taken to the house and then maybe searched and those equipment removed. But for a search warrant to be issued for a specific purpose, and then you go the other dimension to of course disable, is what beat my imagination somehow. Because if I were the Director General CID and this information had come to me, this is what I would do. I'll call him, question him, and I say, no, we are not satisfied. Please, we need to immediately remove those things.
So this brings me to a question. How do the various investigative bodies of states operate? Do you share information? So you're saying if you were Director General CID and this matter, you would have acted so.
Yes.
But we know this was done by national security. We know Iyoko too is on another leg.
Yeah,
how do you...
Your national security could have engaged the police as well. Because national security, I mean, it's a coordinating office. And so whatever information, some information go to national security. And of course, they look at the agency that has direct jurisdiction over the information that they have and task them to do it. If you have liaison officers from the other agencies who are working with national security, these officers can lead the kind of investigation that has to be conducted. So it shouldn't be a difficulty at all.
So who determines that maybe CID should lead this, BNI should lead this, or NIB should lead this?
It should be clear. It should be clear to whoever is the national security coordinator. But if this is a case of murder, if it's a case of maybe some roadblocks somewhere where people are being killed, it should be clear. Maybe if we need the military and police to do it, it should be clear. But where you have too many people at national security who are deployed to do some of this, it is what brings about some of this confusion, because the agencies are there. And they are all working for the betterment of the country. And national security is to coordinate the activities of all these agencies. And national security sits in a position to get a lot of information. And so once it gets the information, then the agency that has to deal with that information can be invited, tasked with dealing with that information, and then feeding national security with whatever outcome they get. Because when it is going to court, I mean, either it's the police who have to prepare docket and go to court. But of course, national security must be briefed about whatever has been happening.
Very well. Prof, I've been joined also by Professor Kojo Appiah-Tua, who is a professor of law at the University of Ghana School of Law, of course, lecturer of many people, including Nipakpo Samuado here. Prof, welcome to the program. You have taught human rights and practiced it for many, many, many years. You've seen and you've lived over the years, seen military regimes, seen democratic governments. Are these we are seeing these days any different from what you have seen and experienced in the past in terms of the adherence to the rule of law or the breach of same?
Well, it's not a clear-cut answer. There have been situations where even under military regimes, care has been taken to follow the law. And there's also been situations under democratic regimes where there have been clear cases of violations. But the bottom line is that before you conduct a search, you should have obtained a search warrant. And the search warrant is to ensure that there are certain guidelines as to the search that you are asking for. There should be a scope. What are you going to search for? And where can you search, or in what way that the information that you obtain, that you have access to, is this something that you take, and if you pick this information, do you have to report back to the court, and so on. And so all those issues need to be will be laid down in the search warrants before it will be granted by the courts. Because this involves, the search would involve likely violations of certain rights of the person involved, right to privacy, right to property issues, transparency issues all come in. Even dignity, because sometimes people are roughed up when the search is conducted and so on. So the people who live on the premises are left traumatized. So all those factors justify why a court process should be the way to go, and at the same time to guarantee that when the search is conducted, to be done in an orderly, transparent manner, and it will not leave people asking questions, especially on the part of those whose premises are being searched. And so that should be the fundamental bottom line, the basics that need to be respected before a search is conducted. And so when that is done, then I think there will be a justification for the search that is done.
In the specific case we are discussing, which is former BOG governor's home, we are told, and of course the Deputy Attorney General, I mean, there are quotes about him, of him, saying that his office authorized those searches. If we can see those quotes on the screen, I mean, it says that it says we take full responsibility for these searches. I can confirm they were conducted in accordance with legal procedures. We will not take anyone to court and ask for time to gather evidence. We will only prosecute when we have sufficient evidence. So here he is, the Deputy Attorney General, saying that his office takes full responsibility for it. It was done in accord with law and due process. Once this hurdle has been scaled, what?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last bit.
Yeah, so I'm saying that from what you're telling us, once it's been done in accord with law, search, warrant secured, etc., we should be fine with the process.
Yes, certainly. But I think that probably the Deputy Attorney General and Minister of Justice would have done us a lot of good by confirming how the legality is talking about came about. if maybe he went to a particular magistrate court or whichever forum he went to secure the search warrants. Because if he's talking about legality of the search process that took place at the former governor's office or home, one of the key legality or legal requirements will be obtaining the search warrant from a court. And so is there any evidence of that? If that is established, then what is the scope of the search warrants? What can they search and what are they looking for? And I think if the processes involved should also be as transparent, because you see accusations about theft and other misdemeanors or misbehaviors committed by the team that went to conduct the search. And there's the whole issue about the CCTV being taken away. That is also a big issue involved here. Were they taken away because they may have committed some abuses and they want to cover it, or it is a critical piece of evidence that led them to the premises in the first place, and it's covered in the search warrant that they are supposed to look for that, and if they find any evidence relating to that, then they can have access to that document to help them in their investigations. So all those pieces of puzzles need to be put together to be able to justify the legality of the event that took place on that particular day.
Very well. Let me speak to you briefly, COP Odro. The searches are done. Typically, walk us through the process. If you appeared in my house to search my house, what should happen? Normally, some of these operatives who appear, some of them are quite arrogant. You tell them anything, they won't listen because they will say they are under instruction. What is the process? You appear in my house. What can I ask you? What can't I ask you? What should you tell me?
Oh, we have a search warrant to search the house, and then you produce the search warrant for them to see, and then they are expected also to comply, to allow you to do the search. But as I said, you are only doing a search. You are not there to intimidate anybody.
Yeah, but that's what the law, the book says. Yeah. But we know that sometimes, you talk about vendetta, sometimes there is vendetta. So when you appear in my house to do a search, I ask you of your search warrant. You should actually tell me first that you have a warrant. You don't tell me. And I ask you if you have a warrant, and you tell me you won't show it to me. What can I do?
It depends. Like we said, there are searches that are conducted without warrant. When I say the police officer of the rank of superintendent and above can either issue
or be the moving warrant himself.
Be a moving warrant. In that case,
Assistant superintendent.
He's assistant superintendent. Okay. Initially, I thought it was superintendent. The moving warrant thing is the assistant superintendent.
Yes.
So when he comes, he should explain to you that we are here to conduct search, and I am the officer in charge, and I'm a moving warrant. He should explain for you to understand before the search begins. And then there are other searches, like I said, when you are arrested, you don't need any warrant to go and search the person. You search the person, his body, and then you also take him to wherever you...
When you are arrested, you tell the person that you are under arrest.
You are under arrest.
So once you tell him you are under arrest, he's arrested, then you can search his person, take him to his house and go and search his house.
Yes.
Even without a warrant.
You don't need a warrant.
No matter your rank.
No matter your rank. The officer in charge can take you to your house and search you. And then this other one that you have to obtain
from the district magistrate.
District magistrate. So, but in all these cases, you need to explain to whoever is in the house that this is why you have come to the house to conduct search, and then put them at ease. It is not like I said, a personal vendetta. You are doing your job, a job for the state, and so people must be put at ease, at convenience, so that you can do your work very well. But courtesy demands. It is not at all cost that you should reset the place like as you came to meet it. But it is better for you to do that, to put the place back in the condition as you came to meet it, so that at least those that you searched will have confidence. Sometimes we even say these are people who will even be your one day confidence or cooperative individuals who will be giving you information. If you do these things, you get their confidence, you put their rooms, you put their premises in order the way you came to meet it, and they will then give you the respect. But it's always better to do that. You don't go and haphazardly take this, throw them here and that, and then you just leave. That is not courteous. That is why I'm saying that those who are doing the search must be people who have conducted searches before and know exactly
so
what
that's
to
the
do.
ideal situation. I'm asking this because you have the practical experience. That's the ideal, but it's not always the case that we have the professionalism in the process.
We have
the professionalism
in
the process of the search. You say those carrying the search must be trained to carry searches.
Yes.
It's not always that we have those carrying the search having that training or experience to carry out the search. It happens. Maybe usually they are trained, but not every time. So if they appear, I can't tell them that because they've not shown me a search warrant, I will not let them search. That is, if they are not above the rank of an ASP.
Okay.
Can I stop them from searching if they don't show me the search warrant?
Yes, they have to show you the search warrant.
If they don't show me, can I stop
Otherwise,
them?
what is the point in obtaining the search warrant?
Yes, if they don't show me, can I stop them?
Yes, unless they are there with an officer who is a moving warrant.
So if the officer is not an ASP, above the rank of an ASP, as Section 94 of Act 30 says, and they don't show me the arrest warrant, you are telling me that I can stop them from searching?
But why would you have to go there without a search warrant? Why would you have to go there and do something you are not lawfully permitted to do? Because you cannot just go to somebody's house and say you are going to search when you don't have a search warrant, when you are not an officer above the rank of ASP. So,
I see.
Yes.
I see. The Honorable said a champon. So, here we are. Is it a case that we are calling for a reform? And you also said that it shouldn't be a matter of equalization. We did it to you, and so you're also doing it to us. We need to make progress. Nipako says if it's a call for reform, that's fine. Is it a case that we are calling for reform now because you did it? I mean, your people did it, and it is being done to you, quote unquote, and so you feel it now, and so you think that it wasn't proper and it's not proper today, so let's sit around the table and see how we can reform that.
Thank you very much. I listened to Ni's submission. Me, good morning. No, but you totally forgot about me because you're empowered.
I'm sorry.
I won't say anything to you. I'm so sad. Anyway, good morning to everybody. I forgot to say good morning because I was woken up by what has happened. In fact, I'm happy Ni brought in Act 30, and I'm happy to state that Section 98 of Act 30 talks about the execution of a such warrant. And if you may permit me, just for the elucidation of our public who are watching us, let me read it out so that we are all clear. It says, a such warrant may be issued and executed on a Sunday and shall be executed between the hours of 6:30 a.m. and 6:30 p.m. But the court may, by the warrant, authorize the police officer or other person to whom it is addressed to execute it at any hour. So clear. That is why in my earlier submission I was talking about I have not cited the warrant, so I can't speak to its content. I'm not asking for reform. I'm just asking that these laws were enacted by ourselves. And as we implement the laws, the same laws admonishes us the principle of natural justice. And if in conducting theater, we've listened to an operative, COP by Todro, advancing arguments to best practice. And that's what we're speaking to. I'm not asking for any reform. No. What was wrong yesterday and is wrong today is still wrong. The law says it's wrong, it's wrong. So we should look into the future. We should look into the future. If we believe Act 30, enacted in 1960, is so old and archaic, and that we have to reform it. My senior brother, the learned Attorney General, Dr. Dominic Ayene, I know very well and I respect so much, will put the proposals before us when government have decided to do so. It doesn't lie in my mouth. I'm not in parliament anymore. And I'll not write anything to my colleagues there to go and change this act. No. We've all been living with it. It's a procedure that we practice with. But the good news is that the men going in theater, what counsel was offered them? The example of Puff Daddy that me cited, I have no worries about that. That's America. I don't carry everything about America. My party is in the same league with the GOP, the Republican Party of America. But I don't believe in what the current president of America does. I don't subscribe to that. I believe in Ghana, and I respect what happens in Ghana, because I'm a fully blooded Ghanaian, born and nurtured in this country. And that's what I'm advocating for.
I see, interesting. But there's politics also at play. I mean, besides issues of rights, issues of, propriety, professionalism, etc., there's also politics at play. So it was not for anything that the minority leader was the one who visited the governor, took pictures and put them out and addressed the press. And the manner or the language used in the press address was also political. So in doing all of this, we cannot discount politics. We cannot discount politics. So that's a picture of the minority leader, Afenyo Markin, and the former governor, Addison, in his house, the day of the incident. All of this sends a certain signal. And it's politics, yes. So how should we be handling the political part? It's important, and the legal part, etc. Because if the search indeed was conducted in accord with law, then the hula baloo, comes to nothing. But there's a politics, so how do we manage all of that?
Selorm, that is what I raised earlier, that as we live in this crucible, we live in this country. Fortunately, on this panel, the people who can be tagged as political animals are me and myself. The rest of your panelists are coming in with their specialized skills. However, we are all interrelated, and so the subject is connected to all of us. Politics is for every person. Everybody can become a political animal tomorrow. And so, in as much as we pursue politics, that is why it is governed by a rule. That is why the rule spells out principles and practices for all of us to conduct ourselves within the set and stated laws. And so you cannot hide under the cloak of politics and say anything and expect to get away with it. Then the law is not being enforced.
I see.
News is worthy. So when the minority leader had opportunity, he wanted to create news. He created news. We are discussing him.
The government of the
how many operatives? It is not only the Honorable Ken Oforiatta and Dr. Addison who worked under the duration of the last administration, who are been taken and who have had to have issues with the state, and the state apparatus is relating to them. There are several matters. Why are these coming up? Which means something occurred. That which occurred is that I am speaking against, because I don't want to see it happen again. You can go on record and check what I said when my party was in government and the conduct of operatives came up and how we approached them. I will not turn around and say that I'm more MPP, I'm more pious, I'm more nationalistic, I'm more Ghanaian than any person. Objectivity is objectivity. When it is wrong, it is wrong. When it is right, it is right. Unfortunately, I'm not in Parliament, but I'll be observing from the sidelines to listen to my senior brother, the Honorable Muntaka, on Tuesday, as me stated, because he is now having jurisdictional control over the national security apparatus. Because the law says so. He's not doing so because he's interior minister, but the law says that a minister must represent and must report on behalf of the national security to the people's representatives in the House of Parliament. And so he's going to go there by law. It's not just because he's the interior minister, no. And so it's the same law we are discussing. That is why I'm concerned that we respect the law and not just human beings.
Very well. So, so the government is responded in many forms. So Shamima Muslim, who is the deputy government spokesperson, in responding to the raid, said that, of course, I think she was asked when she was here to be fully briefed. So she said, I'm yet to get to the office to receive a full briefing on the matter. But what I can say is that there are some actions going on. There are some investigations ongoing, and there are persons of interest who will now and again be invited to help the investigation process. There are means of gathering information, and one of the means is to visit the homes of these persons of interest. I will just say that we should execute these processes with due recourse to due process, and once we are doing that, we should have no problem. So that's Shamima Muslim. Let's hear the Deputy Attorney General himself, Justice Remshai, speak on the matter.
We are, as much as we can, pursuing persons who are believed or are suspected to have looted, state assets, being money or other properties. We are committed, and work is going on day and night for that to be done. Most importantly, we are also doing so within the framework of rule of law, because as you may know, there have been instances in the past where persons who are suspected have been treated, have been arrested in manners that don't comply with the rule of law, where violation of human rights and other laws have been broken just because people are suspected. We work with other institutions, and people submit complaints. So, but every search that you see, is part of the government framework to fight the corruption, and we'll take responsibility for the search that are happening. And we want to make it clear that those searches and the mode in which they were done in accordance with law. Warrants were procured, and warrants were used to conduct those searches.
All right, great. So Franklin, I mean, in the absence of...
Sorry. Selorm, can I come in?
Okay, sure, quickly, yeah.
You see, I was quite relaxed when I quoted section 89 of Act 30, because that's what I haven't cited the warrant.
Mm-hmm, yes.
So listening to the learned Attorney General, I can now say that maybe on the warrant, the second leg of section 89 is out play. It says any hour. Mm-hmm. But if it turns out that any hour was not on, and you go to the man's house at 3 a.m., and the law says 6:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m., this is the confusion.
I see.
This is the confusion.
So, Franklin, I mean, hearing the Deputy Attorney General, hearing Shamima Muslim, and all of that, that for you, somebody who wants things done a certain way, human rights, etc., that should put you at some ease.
Well, if it's in connection with what we just saw displayed on TV and what we've heard from the other side, I'm not sure the two are the same, right? But what I think he's saying, the Deputy Attorney General is saying, is that, well, these are lawful things they are doing, and probably they intend making sure that the right things are done, which is why he issued another statement after the gentleman from the signals, what was it called?
National Signals Bureau.
Yeah, was picked up as well. And I think he issued a statement that was comforting to hear. I think what we are trying to say is that, look, you can't act in a brute man. I don't think those things are nice to do. I mean, the fact that you're being asked to go and search, it's not a call for going to war. It's not. It's the way you re-enter, the way the person's leading it. So those things, they are not nice. Even military type government these days have reformed. And so we don't want to hear these kinds of things about. It's a brute. It's quite thuggish. It's uncivilized.
I see, Prof. Your thoughts generally on the Deputy AG's comments. I mean, I'm sure you taught him the things he's practicing. What is the things you taught him? Hello, Prof.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Hello. Yes. Thank you. Yes. On the face of it, I don't have any problem at all with what he said because it follows due process. But as I said earlier, it's about the details of it. So, was the search warrant obtained from? I mean, where was it obtained? What is the scope of it? And issues regarding judicial control of the process or judicial oversight, so that having obtained the warrant from the judiciary, when the information, everything is done and there's information obtained, evidence and so on, the judiciary should be able to have some oversight over this. And so these are what we don't know. And so on the face of it, we'll grant him the benefit of the doubt and say that what he did was right, what he said was right. But there's also the possibility that what the Attorney General did would be right, but what the executors of the search warrant did could be wrong. I mean, we can draw a line between the two because somebody earlier alluded to professionalism and so on. So it is how the search is conducted by those who were asked to do the search. Number two, those who went to do the search. There are different security agencies involved in doing searches. And usually when you mention the NIB, formerly the BNI, it connects to past military regimes and how they brutalize people and so on. And so probably somebody would have said, why didn't the police go to do this job? So that it will bring some sort of human face to the whole process. And so for me, these are the petty issues that probably the Attorney General should have drawn his mind to avoid a situation where people will criticize, even though what they did was right. And if we are talking about what the executors did, based on the information that the minority leader is saying, stealing of money and trying to intimidate the inhabitants of the premises, that raises some human rights issues as well. And so it's a question of making sure that when such searches are conducted, the people who do it will do it in the right manner. And in talking about transparency, there should be a means of recording. I don't think those who are being searched are prevented from recording the proceedings. So it doesn't necessarily call for reforms to say that when the search is being conducted, it should be recorded. Those who are being searched can record the process. And when the money is being taken, they can challenge that. And even record, if it is audio recording or something, they can do that and put it outside for people to know that this is the excesses to which those who conducted the search did, so that we know and not blame the Office of the Attorney General for what it did, but for some excesses committed by those who conducted the search warrant. So that next time we will get professional people who can do such searches, do it in a transparent manner, even maybe go with the media to record it. And then we can see that that transparency will prevent a situation where there will be some narrative coming from another source that seems to discredit what they went to do over there.
Very well. I see. So the issue about the Interior Minister going to Parliament on Tuesday may not happen. So maybe our bubbles, may not happen because the majority leader said that is not the case. And if you visit Channel 1 TV, the headline is Ayariga denies Interior Minister summons Defense Addison's home raid. And it says, let me read portions of it. The majority leader, Muhammad Ayariga, has dismissed claims that Parliament has summoned Interior Minister Mohammed Muntaka Mubarak to appear on Tuesday, March 25, 2024 over an operation at the residence of former Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Ernest Addison. Early on, there were reports that the Business Committee of Parliament had scheduled the minister's appearance to brief lawmakers on the matter. However, Ayariga stated that this decision was made without his approval. Quote, I have reached out to the Minister for the Interior. He is unavailable on Tuesday to brief the House, and also we cannot be bringing ministers to come and brief the House. The rules are clear. So to say that you are bringing a minister to come and brief the House, under which standing orders are you bringing the minister to come and brief the House? He questioned. He also criticized the use of the term raid to describe the operation, emphasizing its legality. Quote, raid is not an appropriate expression of what happened. I think the law enforcement officers lawfully went there to conduct a search, and so it is perfectly lawful. And so to use the word raid is clearly wrong. So that's what the majority leader is saying. He says that the minister is not available on Tuesday. Perhaps maybe some other day he may come. But the point he's making is, why are you bringing him? On what standing orders is he coming, etc., etc. But that's what Parliament to do. So a number of invitations, etc., have happened. We hear a couple of days ago that the gentleman from the National Signals Bureau, is it Kwabena Edubuahin, returned from the UK, and he was picked up. We don't know why he was picked up, and there was a name, Justice Shremsha also spoke about this. He put this on his Facebook today. He said, I visited Mr. Kwabena Edubuahin and his wife, Madam Angela J. Boating, who are in the custody of law enforcement officials and are assisting in investigations. They confirmed to me that they have access to counsel of their choice and are being treated well. No one, regardless of the nature of their suspicion or accusations, should be treated as guilty until they are actually proven guilty by a court of competent jurisdiction. That's the Deputy Attorney General Shremsai again saying this. So do we know why Kwabena Edubuahin is being questioned, and why is his wife also part of the process?
Well, I think we all rely on the statement from the AGs, the deputy AGs, and that they are all being investigated for some offences that the Attorney General's department is working on based on the oral reports. And also, as a result of that, he was arrested on his arrival. He has been, and then his wife was also arrested. They both been granted access to counsel. Some persons have been arrested and have been granted bail immediately and let go. Some persons, maybe the investigators need further and better particulars from them. What I'm interested in is whether they have access to counsel and whether they are being treated properly and in a dignified manner. We know that the law also is clear. 48 hours is 48 hours. And once the 48 hours elapse or gets to, even if you're arrested on Friday, we no longer have the old system where, thanks to Martin Pebu, you're arrested on Friday. Then Monday, they will tell you that if the court don't sit on Monday, they will take you on Tuesday. Now 48 hours is 48 hours. Once the 48, even if it's on a Sunday, you can write to the Honorable Chief Justice and she would make sure that you get a court available to hear your bail application. And so we have come far in our criminal jurisprudence, and I think that we all are respectful of the law. And knowing the background of our current Attorney General and Deputy Attorney General, I have no doubts that they would ensure that the right things are done. And so far, all the persons that have been arrested, they've all been granted bail. I don't think it will change. The Gift Owari, everybody that at least you are aware of, nobody has even been kept and having to take into court for remand, which is a refreshing, departure from time past where people are taken in and are remanded and remanded and remanded. I'm sure Mr. Oliver Bakamo would have loved to have this experience, or the one who was granted bail recently, the MPP chairman's brother, Afoko would have loved to have been arrested, and within 48 hours he would have been granted bail. So I think that Ghana is being reset, where even as suspects, within 48 hours you are granted bail and you are allowed access to your clients. Yeah, Attorney General and Deputy Attorney General are giving you briefings on the status of persons in custody. Clearly, Ghana is not the same as it was, and I think that President Mahama should be congratulated for resetting our criminal procedure.
I see. So just to provide some information, I mean, NIB invitations stroke arrest.
Okay.
So the Reverend Kusi Boateng,
granted, he even didn't spend an hour
of the National
or
Cathedral.
two, and he was out.
He said he was not arrested.
Yeah, he even said he was not arrested. He was invited, and then he was let out.
Apostle Professor Poku Nyina, trustee, National Cathedral.
Okay.
Gifty Owari Mensah,
Yes.
former Deputy Executive Director
All
of
on
National
bail.
Service Authority. Yao Danso, former National Service Authority Accountant. Professor Christopher Meyer Kumfi, former Chairman Public
Also
Procurement
on bail.
Authority. So all of them invited or arrested. Those, I mean,
And granted bail.
And also airport arrests. We have just one, Kobna Idubuating, former Director General, National Signals Bureau, one we just spoke about. So, I mean, we'll be moving on from here now. Just 1 minute. But I want to find out, when people go to the CID or they go to IOCO or these investigative bodies, they keep them there for a long time. Why do you keep them there for a long time? Is it that throughout their stay there, you are questioning them, or they say sometimes they'll stay there for 5 hours, you come and ask them one question, and then you go again 3 hours and come and ask them one question. Is it part of the process to frustrate them? I mean, how does it work?
That is unprofessional, because we used to say that you rush to arrest and then you delay in investigating them, because once you rush and arrest the person, the moment the person is arrested and is brought to the station, interrogation begins, and then if you need to write statement, initial statement, because you need to find out what his involvement in the crime. But if you go and arrest and you bring him there, sit at the counterback or sit at the station for hours on end, that is unethical.
But that's what you would do.
Yes, it's unethical. And sometimes when we were there, we used to be on the boys.
And sometimes you deny access to their lawyers.
It depends, because when you have been arrested and brought to the station, who is the lawyer?
No, but I would say I want to talk to my lawyer.
Yes,
and my lawyer should come. Lawyers even struggle to see their clients.
It shouldn't be so. If you want to see your lawyer,
it shouldn't be so. It's according to the books.
Yes,
but in reality,
but if you want to see your lawyer, yes, you sit down there and your lawyer should come. Yes, but sometimes it may delay. Well, the police may want to find 1 or 2 things from you, and you say in
the absence of your lawyer.
Well, yes, and then you may want to wait for your lawyer. Maybe 1 or 2 things, and then they will maybe grant you bail. But if you insist on seeing your lawyer, depending maybe on the nature of the case, and the lawyer is not coming, you yourself delay yourself. Yes, so it depends on the nature.
And why is it you arrest them, take them to the head office, headquarters, and you put them in a car, pass some places, and go and put them in another place? Nobody knows. Why all of that?
I cannot speak to that, because, of course, we have bad boys in the police as well who want to do all this. Maybe some of them are doing it because when they take you through this ordeal, that is when they may get some money from you. They
may get money, or they may get
they may extort money from you because they are doing this and that. Not confession as such, because you have picked the person, you don't know whether he's actually implicated in the case. So it's up to you to take your time and find out.
In investigation, of course, we know about methods, waterboarding, some of the methods not friendly human rights wise.
Third degree methods.
And all of those things, which you guys use. I mean, you may not admit to them publicly, but they are violations of people's human rights.
You may call it violations, but let me tell you something. Yes, let me tell you something. Sometimes we say third degree methods. And even we went to some other country and they told us there were boys they arrested, criminals, they knew what they had done, and these boys would not confess or admit. So they got some mice.
Mice?
Yes. Tied up their address down here and put the mice in there. And within seconds they were confessing.
The mice would bite them.
They are biting. They want to create holes there. And they were biting everything.
But that's not correct.
Yes, and the boys started They
started singing.
They started confessing. Sometimes.
But those confessions could be induced. They may not be correct.
Wait, you say they may not be correct. But if the person confesses, and then he mentions other people's names, and then we pick the other people, and we don't use mice, or we don't use teddy, and they corroborate. You say they haven't done their job.
But
no criminal, especially those highway robbers, the Fulanis who are robbing on the highways.
But some Fulanis, not all of them. I mean, Fulanis, they are just like anybody. Yeah.
Okay, yes. Some Fulanis who are robbing on the highways, nobody will tell you he's involved in robbery.
So you have to use the dark methods to get information.
We use methods to get some information.
Methods.
But we need corroboration because not the information that you get from that person who has been subjected to some kind of this may not stand in court. But the point is, there are a number of them who are committing the robbery, who are doing these hard crimes, and whatever it is, you need to get evidence. Like what is happening in Boku. There is nobody in Boku that you catch and you tell you that he knows anything about the killings in Boku. But every time there are killings in Boku, people are being killed. They know themselves. They know who are doing it, but nobody. And so if you use what do you call it, conventional methods, soft methods, you won't get anywhere. So I'm not saying that we.
So you abuse your rights more to get information.
You do something that will enable you get evidence, will enable you get information from them.
I see.
No matter what informants, what confidential individuals you have who will help you, because the person was not caught while committing the crime.
The person denied.
In Boku, Wale, look at what happened in Wale recently. They blocked the road and they were killing people like that. And have we been able to arrest one person? And if you get somebody and then we have information about some of the people who were doing this. I have some pictures of them on my phone. While you get them and then see if they will speak the truth or go around and ask. They are always there to protect their own.
So these enhanced methods you are talking about, or the dark methods, third-degree methods, however you call them, if they are
practical arithmetic.
Practical arithmetic. These are the names. So these practical arithmetic methods. If the person, for example, was a public officer, like the ones we are seeing, you have some information and they are refusing.
No, these are not for public officers. These ones I'm talking about robbers. Criminals.
But you are investigating for criminal.
But if it is about money, there are ways of getting evidence.
And so you will not use those processes.
No. If it's about money, somebody has stolen money. These things are there. But it's violent crimes, robbers, armed robbers. Criminals who have killed and are hiding, you haven't caught them committing the crime. But it's not those who have stolen money and all, because there is always ways and means maybe to get evidence to connect them.
I see.
But I just want to speak a little about this search and then the caliber of personalities who were conducting the search. You see, people are making a whole lot of noise because of one person. And all of us know, because of one person. And I was saying that one person is the director of special operations. I think he's in a very high position. If he relaxes, he has a deputy who is a police officer of the rank of assistant commissioner. If he is allowed to lead the operation, you see that all this will toe down somehow. Because he has challenges because of what the ordeal he went through. And so people think that he's out there for vengeance. So why wouldn't he be sidestepped and somebody else take over and lead the operation? Because I know a whole assistant commissioner of police is also there. So he can lead the operation. And he has been in this such things
for a while.
Yes, for a while.
Very well. Great. Seth, your final word on it, just 1 minute.
Thank you for the opportunity. My final word, your question was abuse of power or accountability. I think it's a total failure, and the government must set up. You are a good counsel advising them, kindly advise them to do the right thing. I don't think that's what you would love to see. Maybe that's what you'd love to see, then I'll see you behind the program and then we have a conversation. But I think it's abuse of power and accountability. We don't need to run Ghana this way. Ghana is so sweet and nice for all of us. If I'm culpable, let the law deal with me. And don't just abuse my rights. I don't believe in that. Like the COP just ended on this statement. I don't think the head person must be seen all around. And if I see him and he goes wrong, I'll say it. And then me doesn't want me to be saying it. So me advise them as a good counsel.
Very, very well. I think COP, some of my listeners are not happy with the generalization about the Fulani. So they are not happy about the generalization of the Fulani.
I'm sorry,
crime doesn't wear ethnic clothes.
But sometimes we wanted to name and shame.
You can't say, for example, Ashantis are stealing here or Ewes are stealing here.
That's what you corrected, and I said, okay, some Fulani. But most of the highway robberies, Ashanti region, Mampong, Ejura, this. When I was here, they arrested about 41 of them.
Yes, but they are.
I'm not saying every Fulani. There are good Fulanis.
So the generalization is where the problem is.
I'm sorry for that. But they should advise their own.
No, but you're still saying it. So the generalization is wrong.
If they should.
But there are Ewes who commit crime. There are Ashantis who commit crime. There are Fantis who commit crime.
But I was talking about highway robbery, and the highway robberies are mostly committed by some of these Fulanis. And I have evidence.
But it is wrong to generalize.
I'm not some. You say some, and I'm saying some. The highway robberies that are happening today in the northern part of Ghana, they may not like it, but it is happening. And I'm saying that my experience, I have dealt with most of them. I even mentioned.
So you take that out and say Ghanaians who are doing bad things, highway robbers.
But if you take them out too,
to paint a whole.
No, I'm not saying every Fulani because I work with some Fulani.
So the same with some Ewes and some Gans and some Ashantis also do same.
Yes, some.
I see.
Some. If you go to what do you call it, Afram Plains, some of them are engaged in robbery. Me, for example, if you tell me a highway robbery has occurred in Kwame Danso, you don't even need to tell me who is behind it.
Very well. So I think that the point has been made. The generalization is wrong, and I think it's taking that out.
Yes.
And so we can make progress. So Franklin, 1 minute.
I have nothing more useful to add, really. I think everything that you said. Right.
Great. Prof, 1 minute, wrap up.
Thank you. I think that we should look at the police use of force and ensure that searches are done, reasonable searches and seizures are done, which will not violate the rights of the suspects, because as a suspect, you still have rights. And so we should be careful about how we go about this so that at the end of the day, we see that justice is done in trying to ensure that criminal justice is also respected in the country. Thank you.
Very well. Just one message before we go. Christian Ashalibuchi says, as much as I condemn the Rambo style of invading the homes of former appointees, my question is, where were those crying wolf wolves today when appointees of the previous NDC regimes were chased around in this country like war criminals? The MPP only came back to their senses when they were in opposition. Selorm, the owners of the collapsed Ghanaian banks will surely be happy with Addison's situation. The former governor cruelly destroyed the banks of hardworking individuals just in the name of banking sector cleanup. I don't know why Addison and Ofurata crying over house cleanup, just like banking sector cleanup. This is Chris from Ashalibuchi. We'll take a short break. When we return, we will delve into the next matter, which is the MPP rates and the disciplinary actions they are exacting. Thanks so much to COP retired Bright Odro. Very, very good. Prof, thanks so much also for joining us. We are grateful.
This March, we invite you to splash in the pool of cultural expressivity and soak yourself in the celebration of indigenous authenticity in our Heritage Month. Join us for the Heritage Month launch on Friday, February 28th as we kick off a month of unforgettable experiences. Pack your bags for the Heritage Caravan, a week-long adventure across across Ghana from March the 2nd to the 9th. Discover the beauty and history of our land. Savor the flavors at the Back to Your Village Food Festival, a culinary extravaganza on March 29th and 30th. Taste the essence of Ghana. Tune in to the Heritage On Air series on 97.3 City FM and Channel 1 TV. Feel the rhythm of our music, journey through our religious history, and indulge in indigenous Ghanaian food. Join us to celebrate our heritage this Heritage Month, where every moment is a story. Only on Channel 1 TV and 97.3 City FM.
Of their labors, toils of the brave, which have brought rain.
All right, you're welcome back to the big issue, 97.3 City FM. Just going back to a discussion on the so-called raids or searches in the homes of some former public officials. The BOG Governor's house was searched or raided earlier in the week, and a number of matters have arisen therefrom. And so we discussed all of that. Now we want to look at some raw politics. I mean, the MPP politics. The MPP has been undergoing some, not rebuilding, but rebuilding would be like a football team. Someone say rebranding, but they've been trying to put their house in order and set up a committee chaired by Professor Michael Quay, like the NDC did in 2017, the Professor Kwesiboche Committee. It's doing a similar thing and going around collating reports or collating views from people on why they lost the election and all of that. It does appear that some persons have been speaking. The Honorable Osechi Mensah Bonsu, we understand, chaired a committee put together by the Ashanti Regional Party, where he went around, spoke to me, and then authored a report. The party says that report is not official because the party did not sanction that committee. The party's committee is a Professor Okway's committee, and so it's still working. Persons like Adjosafo have been on a media tour and been speaking on a number of stations. The party finds that reprehensible. The party issued a statement. It still continued, and a few days ago, the party issued a statement informing the public and itself that the matter has been referred to the disciplinary committee. So we'll look at that. Why wouldn't the people speak? I mean, why would they speak? Why wouldn't they vent their frustration so that it leaves them? Why must they keep it? They want to speak because Adjosafo, for example, says so many things were said about her. She didn't have the opportunity to respond, and to be blamed for the defeat of the party in the constituency would be unfair, and so she has to speak and explain herself. She's been trying to explain herself, and the party is not happy about that, and so that is what it is. My guests, once again, Ni Kpakpo Samuel Addo, NDC member, private legal practitioner, Seth Champon, former Eastern Regional Minister, former Chair, Defense and Interior Committee, Franklin Kujo, President Imani Africa, and Haruna Mohammed, Deputy General Secretary of the MPP. They've joined us now. They are my guests. Let me start off with Haruna. Haruna, good morning. It's been a while. I guess you're doing well. We've not met since you got into opposition. How is opposition treating you?
Selorm, good morning to you.
Yes.
I think this is not my first time of being in opposition.
Okay.
From 2009 to 2016, I have been in opposition when I was working at the regional level. So at least I've had a full taste of 8 years of being in opposition, though I was not occupying such a high office as Deputy General Secretary. The life in opposition is the same thing. We've just gone out and we are seeing a lot of a downgrade that is ongoing within the political landscape and governance in Ghana. And what we were promised is not what we are getting. And I believe that Nikwaku, sitting there, when we were in power, on Saturdays he was organizing Kenke parties. I don't know whether today he has been able to organize a Kenke party before he came to the studio. He's somebody that I love so much, and I would take the opportunity to say good morning to the former Eastern Regional Minister and President Imani Ghana, Mr. Franklin Kuju.
Very well. So, what's this whole idea? People in the party cannot talk again. The MPP is a party of people who speak their minds.
Freedom.
Indeed. Yes, freedom in development. Now, is it a case that you are stopping people from speaking their minds? What's the plan?
Oh, Selorm, I know in the recent past, last few weeks or days, this has been a very topical matter for the media and the entire citizens of Ghana with respect to the decision that was taken by my boss, the General Secretary of the party. I want to give you some little background to this particular directive. We had a meeting, the National Executive Committee meeting, somewhere last 2 weeks. You've mentioned a report that is coming from an Ashanti region. The commentaries that I've gone through, a number of people have spoken on matters relative to the party. Some has been very distasteful in terms of how these discussions has been done. A lot of people have brought up complaints regarding some of these particular discussions in the media landscape. And what we do know is that every corporate organization, inclusive of the New Patriotic Party, has rules and guidelines that guides what we do. Selorm, even in the media cycle, we have what we call censorship, or what you call ethical procedures in terms of how discussions are done. Censorship does not necessarily mean that you should be stopped from speaking. And if I may explain further, that censorship, if you look at it carefully, is said to be the charging or the suppression or prohibition of speech or writing that is deemed subversive of the common good. The key word here is subversive. What then is subversive? A behavior or activity that is trying to destroy or damage something, especially an established political system. So you look at this, it means that in the minds of the people, and even in the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, your right to speak also ends at a certain point when somebody's right begins from there. So your right to speech also has limitations because we are guided by rules and regulation. If you read in Article 35 of the party's constitution, it is said duties of a member. A member shall have the right and duties at all times. 1, to promote and defend the good name of the party, and to protect the unity of the party and be loyal and truthful to the party. Very key one is to abide by and publicly uphold the decision of the party. At the last NEC meeting, the complaints that came, the National Executive Committee looked at it, and the National Executive Committee composition is very huge, which includes the national chairman, who is the chair at any point in time, who calls for the meetings. We have, if there is a sitting president, he sits in. If there's a former president, he sits in. If there is a sitting vice president or a former vice president, he sits in. If you have a former parliamentary candidate, a former flag bearer or a sitting flag bearer, he sits in. So the rest of the composition include the regional chairman and the entire National Executive Committee members. We also have heads of other committees that are representing party in parliament. So there are a whole lot of membership that is put in there. A decision was taken that these various complaints that are coming in, at this material point in time, what we have to do as a party is to refer these persons to a body which is part of the structure of the party, which is the National Council of Elders, which is headed by Honorable Hagman Osuajman, who is also a member of the National Executive Committee. So many people have spoken in the past and these persons, what they said were taken into consideration, and some of these particular discussions were not in the best interest of the party. Everybody has the right to speak, but you must be censored on what you say in the public. That is why the party has created a platform for everybody to go and vent out. When you are venting internally, I believe that the party take cognizance of what you say and deal with those particular matters. Even at Channel 1, City, if there are issues that you have to address, staff cannot just go out in the media, out there, and start talking to the media to get matters addressed. You have channels of communications of grievances, and that is why the party has what we call the grievances procedure. That is also enshrined in the party's constitution. So we refer some members to the National Council of Elders, which did not exclude or say Chairman Sabonso, and also Dr. Ayu name came out, and some other members, their names came out, and then the party said that these people should be referred to the Council of Elders to advise them on matters that have been discussed. And this was done. Afterwards, it was said that the party need to take measures to ensure that there is discipline. So once the party is taking measures to ensure that there is discipline within the party, and there is a saying that that water cannot pass through the forest without some of the trees coming down. Once we are going in to have discipline, invariably, definitely some people will be affected because people will cross the line. And that is why the General Secretary, in the issuance of the directive, he did that to all party members. It means that he, the General Secretary, is included in the directive. So, and it is cease discussion on matters that create disaffection within the party in the media. So it is key. You cease discussion on matters that create disaffection within the party in the media. So it doesn't mean that you cannot speak on these matters to the committee that is established by the National Council to look at it, or any other structure within the party that has been established for you to speak to. So on these particular matters, the General Secretary did not bar you from speaking. He said, don't speak on matters that create disaffection within the party in the media. And I believe that the media is a very big vehicle that carries information. So we must censor what we say in the media. He went further to say is that many of us, including him, you get the point. He said many of us as party members have on several platforms expressed our anger, disappointment, and frustration. However, we humbly ask that all party faithfuls remain calm so that cooler heads may prevail at this time. It means we acknowledge the fact that people have vented their frustration. People have gone out there to say all manner of things regarding their disappointment, and they have made it very clear. We have also tasked the Professor Michael Kwei's committee to go out there and listen. They have gone through all the 276 constituencies across Ghana, and they have listened to the people. There is also that school of thought, many people, that when these discussions came out, that Professor Michael Kwei is himself a problem. You can sit before him and tell him. That is why we are living in a democracy. Nobody is beyond criticism. And I believe that many people have come for the head of the General Secretary with respect to the statement that he has issued. Yes, as a leader, you must be confronted with difficulties. And that is why he took that bold decision to ensure that we need to have discipline in our party. Once we have such thing going on, it means that we'll be able to hold each other on and make sure that we are able to be guided as to what we say. People may not be seeing what the General Secretary is seeing, but in the next few days or weeks, people will get to understand that the venting out an attack on the General Secretary probably was premature. And that is why when this was violated, and the General Secretary made references to the constitution of the party, and that is why he made references to Article 3.5 of the party's constitution, and also make references to Article 10.7.5 of the party's constitution, which is in reference to him as leading the operational charge of the party at the party headquarters in the National Secretariat. So he has the locus to ensure that such things are being done, and also to go against a National Council decision. The Professor Michael Kwei's committee It's a National Council committee. It's an ad hoc committee of National Council, which was set up to deal with a particular matter. So if a National Council has come out with a committee and an individual of the party, upon citing a directive to calm down and to let cool heads prevail and giving another avenue to be able to express yourself, you call that committee a bogus. Then we needed to act and to ensure that something discipline
so for example,
is brought to bear within the party
a lot of things
cycle.
A lot of things have been said about a particular person, including the fact that she personally told and encouraged her father's church members not to vote for the MPP. This was publicly stated, everybody heard it. It was a news in the constituency. She never had the opportunity to respond. She attends an interview. The interviewer asks her this question, and she explains that no, that's not true. It never happened. This was what happened, ABC, and she lists them. How is that, not upholding the image of the party? Things have been said about her, personal, that she did this. Said, no, I didn't do it. This was what happened. Why should you discipline somebody for setting the record straight? You may go and talk to the party's committee, that's fine, but the whole world won't hear it. But when the allegation was being made against the person of the person, the whole world heard it. And the views of the world would have been formed about that person. Speaking to the committee alone will not change that view. And she's a politician. She thrives on popularity.
Selorm, that is why in the statement, they say that matters that create disaffection must not be discussed in the media. If you read the letter referring her to the disciplinary action, do not refer to a matter where he's explaining to her herself. Eventually, the National Council Committee did not speak about her, did not level any allegations up to her. So to call that committee bogus, and in the spirit of the party's constitution, we had a responsibility to abide, which is in Article 354, which says abide by and publicly uphold the decision of the party. She refused to hold the decision of the National Council to form a committee headed by Professor Michael Quay. Professor Michael Quay is the chairman, but not the committee. So if you say such a committee is bogus, then you are going against one aspect of the party's constitution. Selorm, you know that the General Secretary has locus to ensure that operational activities and other works, to ensure that to streamline and make sure discipline prevails within the party, to call the right and the locus of him. So the letter that was issued calling her or sending her to the disciplinary listing did not refer to the matters that she's defending herself. Let me tell you, even at the period, at the time that she was going through difficulties, she will tell you that it was the General Secretary who had to hold her, who had to ensure that Adwoa is given the needed support as a party to participate in parliamentary duties, to ensure that government bills and what have you are passed in Parliament. On several occasions that the General Secretary had invited her to the party headquarters, I, as a person, at any point in time, the General Secretary had assigned me to Parliament, and I sit in Parliament on top, and I watches whether she leaves the chamber or she doesn't leave. My duty was to report to the Deputy Chief Whip, Habib. If she goes out, Habib's duty was to look for her and ensure she comes back. The General Secretary shepherded her and ensured that this work is being done. Let me tell you again, on Tuesday, the General Secretary had a conversation with her, even before these particular discussions. Because as a party, you need to have intelligence. Intelligence in a sense that you need to be able to preempt what happens. You need to be able to understand that people's sentiments might go out of hand, and you need to have a caution. And that is why the General Secretary gave a directive to all party members, including himself, to restrain, not to discuss, but to refrain from discussing every matter in the media.
Very well, Haruna.
Adwoa has the right to defend herself.
Very well.
If she's defamed, she has the right to defend herself, and we did not suspend Adwoa based on her defense. but based on other pronouncement that infringes on the right of the party's constitution.
Is it a case that yesterday she was due to appear in another interview or for another interview, and senior members of your party drove to her house to stop her from attending, maybe to persuade her from attending? We hear from the reports that about 3 big cars were parked in front of her house. Just when she was driving out, they stopped her from attending that particular interview. Indeed, the 2 TV stations had to put out statements that due to circumstances beyond their control, they couldn't bring to the public those interviews. Can you confirm this?
Officially, I cannot confirm, but I also heard it.
Unofficially.
Unofficially, that's what you have just said it. So I have just heard it from you. So I have not officially heard it, but hearing it from you now indicates that the party has leaders, the party has elders who thinks that some of these things must be checked. And that is why I said that the General Secretary himself has had the cause to call her. That was Tuesday, even before these discussions and these issuance of directives had come out. On the day that she was even going to appear on the media, I was in Accra by then. The General Secretary had tasked me to call her. And General Secretary himself sent the directive to her. So it's not that we have not done any backstage conversation, but what we are seeking to save and people are not seeing, when it begins to fall, people will start to call the heads of many.
Very well.
And that is why we did not suspend Adwoa. We rather referred Adwoa to the disciplinary committee to hear her out. Adwoa still have the right and responsibility to put down any other matter she thinks that cannot be heard in the media, but she has the right to defend herself on matters that she has been attacked, which necessarily would not impugn or create disaffection within the party.
Very well. Honorable Seti Champon, have you met the committee yet? Unless, of course, you don't have any. Okay, so I hear Honorable Seti Champon is not on. Franklin, hearing the Deputy General Secretary explain the party's position, and I'm sure you've heard snippets of what Adwoa has been saying around freedom of speech, speaking your mind, etc., etc. Where does this leave you?
Good morning, Haruna. Well, I think the lady must be heard, especially because, as you rightly were questioning Haruna, this lady had been columnized in the media. She's been a lot of things we heard about her, some of which I was even surprised at. But now she's speaking, and I think we need to let her speak. For me, the NPP is not a secret organization. If it is one, maybe they should let us know. Because the very things they've been asking us, not asking members not to be discussing, as in their angst against how they lost power, it's known to everybody anyway. I mean, everybody knows why the NPP lost power. I'm even surprised that, well, it's good to conduct a study, but I'll be surprised if they got something different from what everybody knows now. And one of the cardinal points which I draw was actually mentioned, which I thought was, I'm sure it will be captured in that report, is that the leadership did not listen. Don't forget that when I just suggested that the school feeding fund was raided by some members of the party and that she asked for a special audit to be done, the president at the time said, well, probably did not do anything about it. You see, this is interesting because if you remember, Professor Frimpong Martin said something similar. There have been times when some of us have even had issues, we go and complain, and then eventually we hear it in the public domain. The president described it as dumb street. So I'm not entirely surprised that when Adwoa was speaking and referring to some of those examples, they were entirely wrong. Look, party matters obviously must be discussed within a certain framework, and I'd accept that. But not when one person has been columnized and denigrated, and I feel it's targeting a woman unfairly because a lot of people have been speaking about these issues anyway. I've heard men and the party speak about what really happened to the party, and nothing was said about them. We had a few, not necessarily denunciations, but to physically prevent a lady who is just going about speaking about what hurt her, I think it's a bit unfair. And so for me, I was actually interested in Adwoa's rendition of what might have happened to the school feeding fund, which was raided. And I think that she should either send a report to Oral or just tell us what time these audits were done, and then we'll go for the audit report. I think those are the things we want to hear. And I think it also speaks to the reasons why the party also lost power. If corruption was one of the reasons why the party lost power, of course, it's been accused of losing power. Some of us said a few things, but we were denied. We were said to be noisemakers. Now, if someone from the same party now comes to tell you that, look, I conducted something like this, and if it had come out, the party probably would have lost more votes. Those are things that are really important for us to know. So for me, as I said, unless the NPP believes there's a secret organization, which I think it's not, but their motto is development and freedom. And if you're doing an inquisition of this sort, then you must be ready to bear it all. And you must be ready. In any case, unless they don't want us to see the report eventually, that they will do anyway. But as I said, it's neither here nor there. But some of us are of the view that the party knows why it lost.
But Franklin, I mean, if you're in a group, there's a group culture. There's a way you conduct yourself. If the group says that don't discuss matters that will further destroy the fortunes of the party, you don't flout that. I mean, can you imagine everybody going out speaking? That will create serious problems for the party. And so they are controlling that. If you have a problem, go tell the committee.
I agree, but except that there's this double-edged sword. I mean, there's this double. I don't like to call the word. I don't like to use the word hypocrisy. But men have been speaking about these matters anyway, and I've not seen any real, authoritative. Basically, the hammer coming down at them the way it's come down to Adjoa. I don't think it's fair, And then secondly, the issue really is, look, Adjoa, as I said, has so many things were said about her. Maybe she should also take part of the blame, because when we needed her, she was sending all kinds of TikTok videos at the time. I remember when we were trying to find out where she wasn't giving us information. She's not giving us details of that. So maybe some of the sympathy now seems to be weighing. But I think generally this lady has suffered too much. And I think that it was a time to speak. If all those persons who are now calling on her to be circumspect have done their best, have done their due, I don't think the lady will be speaking the way she spoke. And as I said, while I admit that the party needs to do some introspection and must not allow people to be speaking by heart, if I can use that word, I think it behoves on the leadership as well to be seen to be fair. If the men are speaking about the issues, there are so many of them who speak about this. I read most of them in WhatsApp groups. I read many of the things on social media. But nobody comes heavily at them as they're doing to Adjoa, and I don't think it's fair at all. So, look, this matter must be discussed. I don't think that it is fair. But in any case, as I said, whatever they're trying to internalize, you probably already know anyway. If it is the case that you don't discuss your dirty leaning outside, he's not accusing people unfairly. I don't think she's doing that at all. I think all that she's saying, most of these things we already know anyway. Maybe I can understand that, well, maybe she's now on a tour to clear her name, and it appears that the lady speaks really well as well, besides the slangs, which I enjoy. Party and committee, I think I love those words. Thank you.
Great. Well, I mean, trust Franklin to throw in a few things. All right, Ebony. So, yes, I mean, I don't know whether you'll be watching from the sidelines happy that, your opponents are having difficulty. But it's a normal process. I mean, after defeat, a lot of people are unhappy. People will attribute the defeat to many things, and the party must manage the process. You did same in 2017. You set out the Professor Botwe committee. We've still not seen the report. We hear that report is firmly in the custody of Asedi Nketia. Nobody knows what's in that report apart from people who have to know. So, I mean, what's different about this? And I'm sure your people also announced that you should be circumspect about comments you make on radio. It's a similar thing they're making. If a party issues a directive and you go against it, I mean, there should be sanctions.
Well, when you preach that you are the Freedom in Development Party.
Development in freedom.
Development in freedom. You are human rights. You are, nobody sells you out in a certain way. You've packaged the party as a party that believes in libertarian ideas, they are far right. Is it far right? Or
They are center of right.
Center of right. Rule of law, freedom of speech. You find it a bit difficult when then there's the gagging of members, especially somebody like Adjua who has risen all the way to be a deputy majority leader, cabinet minister, says that she has. You see, the thing with Adjua's, and when you listen to Adjua Safo's complaints, it's like she feels she had been vilified, and she has not had the opportunity to speak out. And so once she now is no longer in power, and the point was that, she had abandoned her seat. This was said out openly. I mean, let's not pretend that even the leadership said she could not be reached, and that they had tried to call her. They took her through the disciplinary process in Parliament, the Privileges Committee, newspaper adverts were made. Adjua Safo has abandoned her people, and unfortunately, this woman had lost a child, had to go to the US to attend to her other son that was not well. They played her against her constituency, and she eventually lost the opportunity to represent her constituency. She's bitter. Clearly, somebody like that will be very, very aggrieved. She's even spoken about attacks against her father, you understand, among others. The party clearly has not been able to manage her grievances, and that is why she has had to come out to speak the way she's speaking. I think that things could be managed better. And I think the point that, and I think they realized quite quickly that threatening her with disciplinary measures and all that was not going to work. That's why the leadership had to ambush her in her house and try to. And I think that was a better approach, because I suspect that was why she didn't continue with the media rounds. You need to engage. Politics is about numbers. You understand? You may discuss. And remember, her constituency is the largest in Ghana, for that matter. And at her height, she was commanding figures almost 80,000 votes. And to drop from 80,000 to 50,000, it's a steep drop. You understand? So if you are familiar with the terrain of that particular constituency, her father and the Christo Asafo Church probably were the earliest settlers in that area. And their membership accounts for a huge number of the votes in that constituency. So you can't take her for granted. And I think that it speaks to it. The MPP is going through a phase. How they manage that phase in terms of the post-election, management, the crisis they find themselves in, would be critical. Because you see, you have first, if you listen to Adjua, she is alleging that this whole Professor Okwe committee is being set up to disqualify Dr. Baumia from contesting. She said it.
Yeah, but that's just an allegation.
But this is from a former deputy minority,
a former cabinet minister,
for that matter. It's telling you that the entire mission of the Professor Michael Okwe committee is to disqualify Dr. Baumia and to prop up somebody else. And you have the Mr. Ajapon group who are also pushing that Dr. Baumia should be jettisoned and a new candidate should be brought. All of those dynamics have serious consequences for the MPP moving forward. You jettison Dr. Baumia at this time, you are guaranteeing that the northern region the northern votes are going to ask questions. Why is it that for somebody who has had, is it 38 or 41%?
41.
Okay. 41. We keep getting this 38%.
Is wrong.
Okay. You have the 41% candidate who is now clearly the most, marketed candidate amongst the MPP as a first-time national candidate. Why should you jettison him for a new person? If you bring Mr. Ajapon, you are re-emphasizing or reintroducing this concept of the party being an Akan party. it has different dynamics. So clearly, the MPP has a big task on its hand, and how to manage that is going to be one of the biggest tests for the unity of the party. I pray for them, you know, but as we are busy resetting the country, we would want that such things will continue, so that at least it takes them another maybe 16 to 20 years to organize properly, by which time we would have reset the country. And then maybe if God wills and they are coming back, probably in 16, 20 or 24 years, the country would have been properly set with a new crop of leaders. You know, maybe my good friend then would have moved from general secretary to either vice president or vice presidential candidate, you know, so that by then things would have been set. But, you know, it's a worrying sign. We need a strong opposition. You know, we don't need an opposition that is a diversion on national issues. And so I pray for them.
Very well.
You know.
So I'll come back to you, Haruna, but let me take a short break. I'll come back, then we wrap up. This is The Big Issue. Don't go away.
From 2012, we have gathered for new wine. 13 years later, Levites gather. It's time to be refreshed, renewed, and poured out. Ladies and gentlemen, MOG Music presents New Wine 2025. Theme, Back to the Basics. Venue, First Love Center. Encounter true power with ministrations from Joe Metal, Kwame Jedu, Reverend Barry Nikwe, Pastor Isaiah, and Obapa Christie. Date, 30th March. Time 5 p.m. Rate single 100 Ghana cedis, VIP 200 Ghana cedis, family of 5 450 Ghana cedis. Sponsors Omni Basic Bank, Secure Sanitary Pad, eTransact, Knowledge Tree International, Tank Palace Hotel, and Oasis Studios. Media partners, your ticket awaits you. Get it now. Dial *389 *777 # or visit Airport Shell, Community 11 Shell, Bachana Total, Royal House, and First Love Center. Let the Levites arise in this generation. We're going back to the basics. Ready?
Yeah, welcome back. This is The Big Issue, the final lap of the program. We are discussing the MPP, Adjosafo, and a few other matters of the opposition. I mean, they are rebuilding, and they have a committee collating views about why they lost and what can be done to recapture power. Professor Michael Kwe is the one leading that committee. My guests are Haruna Mohammed, Deputy General Secretary of the MPP, Franklin Kujo, President Imani Africa, and Nick Papo Samoa, the private legal practitioner and a member of the NDC. Haruna, so yes, many have said that perhaps Professor Michael Kwe shouldn't be the one to lead the committee. He was too actively involved in the process. Unlike Professor Kwesi Botwe, he has been very active in the process. I think that's why Adjosafo said that report, the first page, should be on Domi Kwabena. What do you make of this position by people when they say that he was being too active in the process, and so he shouldn't be the one to be fact-finding?
Selorm, I disagree, and I'll tell you why. Professor Michael Kwe fronted one aspect of the process, and that is when he chaired the flag bearership election. If you check any other party activity relative to the contest of the 2024 general elections, Professor Michael Kwe has not been featured in any of those particular processes. His son might have been a candidate in the elections, and this is not the first time that the son had contested within the primaries for Domi Kwabena. I can see or get the pain that is coming from Honorable Adjosafo. If you have had the cause to contest for elections before, and certain issues comes up and you eventually loses such a primary, you would be pained. For that one, I admit, even though I have not contested elections, I have led people into elections. It's very difficult to lose an election. So it's not entirely true that Professor Michael Quay was too much involved in the process. He was not involved in the process. He was not part of the campaign team. He was not part of any committee at the national level relative to the conduct of the 2024 general elections. The reason behind this committee was to have it formed in two. That is to have one committee to look at the structure and amendment to the party's constitution, and the other aspect to look at the review of why we lost the elections. So two committees were to be set up, but on the 2nd of January, in the wisdom of the National Council, these two committees were put together. And you know the membership. Apart from Professor Michael Quay, we have Emeritus Professor Yantia Mwabedu. We also have Professor Kofi Osei Akwaku, Professor Samuel Bet Wudi-Kwesi, Dr. Phyllis Yamua, Dr. Joseph Ajapong Damon. We also have Mr. F.F. Anto. We also have Mr. Kweku Domfe, Honorable Gifty Kusi, Honorable Abdullah Banga, Lawyer Siduna Segri, and William Siamwa as member secretary. These members, some come from the academia, some come from the security background, some come from many other aspects that they are coming to. So Professor Makoke would have been responsible, together with F.F. Anto and Dr. Phyllis Yamua, who is also a chairman in the diaspora aspect, to have been looking at the structure and amendment to the party's constitution. Once all these members were put together, he being the senior most and a front party person that everybody could identify that this is Professor Michael Quay, the council decided that he should be the chair of the committee. And being a chair of the committee does not mean that you are the committee. And that is why when in my earlier submission, I made it that Professor Michael Quay cannot be the committee, but he's the chair of the committee. Beyond that, if the report is to be taken and the people of Domi Kwabenya are being met, and in fact, all MPs or former MPs, parliamentary candidates, party executives, council of elders, patrons were requested to meet the committee. And if you make your view clear to the committee, I don't think that if it is about Professor Mokokwe, this will be left off hook. It will be captured in the report. So if such a report is made to them, then it will be captured in the report, no matter what, he being the chairman of the committee. So it will be captured. And again, my good brother Nick Paku is talking about these issues. He wishes that it continue. It will not be continued. It will stop. It will be stopped. It will be stopped. At least I don't want this to be too much political. But if you look at the way the MPP is handling this matter and the way in manner we are viewing it, the NDC's own is even worse. It's worse. That's why I don't want to make it political, because we are listening. Apart from us talking here, if you listen to Franklin Kwido, he made very excellent submissions that the party leadership will look at, because we must also look at and get the feedback from the people after taking certain decisions. So we are not going to push these things under the carpet and say that we have the power and the responsibility to do so. But we also have the responsibility to listen and get feedback. Once we do so, to ensure that there is discipline within the party, we must also ensure that there is fairness.
Very well. I
can assure the general public that this directive, if anybody goes against it, not just Adwoa Safo, will crack the whip.
I see. Talking about fairness, don't you think that if this process is not handled well, and supporters of Adwoa Safo feel she's been unfairly treated, this may have other serious implications on the already fragile situation in Domi Kwabenya, for example? And she speaks well, like Franklin said. She appears to have a following. She's connected to a few people. And I'm not sure she's doing this just on her own. I think she has some backing from some seniors as well. You disagree that if this is not handled well, it may degenerate and create more problems?
Oh, Selorm, you've made the right point. We must handle it well, and that is very key. Because well here is that nobody should be mistreated. And the General Secretary is not ready to mistreat anybody. We are going to ensure that some of these things will be curtailed and to ensure that discipline is brought back.
Very well.
Notwithstanding that, we are not going to also stay and say that we have the pen and paper. We will also go backstage and make several contacts with party members and leaders who also have same things to say. So we would not, even after this, we have made several efforts to get to Adwoa. But I must stay here that we did not send anybody to go and physically block Adwoa. We have made a referral. If she continues to go to the media to discuss,
she will suffer the punishment.
We can't continue to be referring her because we have already make a referral to the disciplinary committee. It's left with the committee to interrogate the issues, and after the referral, other issues that have come out, it's left with the committee to do so.
Very well.
And the committee will report back to National Executive Committee per what the Constitution has so stated.
Very well. Franklin, your final word on this?
Well, I think everything must be done to encourage people within the parties to speak, but they must speak within what I call democratic centralism. There's a certain sense that you could rein in all those people if you reach to them nicely, right? But if you rebuff them in public, they are also members in their own rights. And like I just said, she sounded as though, well, I'm even older than the General Secretary. Who is she? Who is he? You understand? You don't want to have this open spy in the public. But as I said, even when they finish their report, they should be able to discuss aspects of it, a majority of it. And then they could also call on us to tell them that they lost SPA since 2022, really.
Very well. Great. You can put your final word on this.
We pray for the MPP. We pray for them. I think that as a government, we are very clear on resetting the country. We need a viable opposition. But if an opposition decides that they will be distracted and allow themselves some inner fights which will prolong and help them to reform the party over 16 to 24 years, I think that is okay. That will give President Mahama and the NDC enough time to reset the country, because the chaos in the MPP right now clearly does not look like a party ready to come to power anytime soon. So we pray to God that God himself will be with them and guide them over the 40-year wilderness that they definitely, we pray they will be in. Yes,
Very well.
Amen.
Very well.
You say amen.
Don't put me in trouble. All right, so this is how we conclude today's edition of the program. Thanks so much to Nick Papo. Thanks so much to Haruna Muhammad. Thanks so much to Franklin Kujo. My name is Selorm Adonoo. Have a good afternoon.
Welcome to the Wonder Space Show with Miss Natalie.
There's so much to uncover. Are you an explorer? Yes! Then join us on an adventure. All you need to do is
look closely, think carefully,
solve many problems.
Wait, that's not all.
We are the Wonder Space Explorers. We create things big or small and beautiful. We are WONDERFUL. We are wonderful. La 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 la. Wonder Space.
Oh, hello. I was just trying to decide, should I have jollof or wache for lunch? I like them both. What should I do? What's your favorite meal? Wonder Space Explorers, what's the main ingredient in both these meals? That's right, rice! What other rice dishes do you know? Depending on the country you're in, rice may be cooked differently. Rice, this is uncooked rice, forms a large part of our meals in Ghana. What about where you live? Do you eat a lot of rice? Rice is eaten in countries all over the world. Wonder Space Explorers, have you ever asked yourself this question? Where does food come from? Where does rice come from? And how does rice grow? Rice is known as a cereal or grain. A cereal is a plant, a grass-like plant, that produces grain for food. Most of the rice that we eat all over the world is grown in Asia. Asia has been growing rice for thousands of years, but rice also grows in Ghana. The main rice growing areas in Ghana include the Volta region, Upper West, and Upper East regions. Wonder Space Explorers, I have a little surprise for you. We're going to visit a real rice or paddy farm. This farm is known as Agro Kings and it's in Akuse. Are you ready to visit the rice farm? Let's go on our adventure. Rice! Wonder Space Explorers, can you guess where we are? We are all the way in Akuse at a rice farm where they grow rice. We're going to learn how they grow rice. We're going to see rice growing. We have an amazing tour guide, Mr. Daniel, but on the farm, he's known as Mr. Cashew. Why do they call you Mr. Cashew?
Well, I used to be a cashew farmer.
Oh, he used to be a cashew farmer. Do you know what cashew is? Anyway, Mr. Daniel, Mr. Cashew, is going to show us around this amazing rice farm known as Agro Kings. Let's go. Wonder Space Explorers, the farm is so big that I need a little help. So they got me a tricycle so that we can tour the farm. Let's go and see the rice growing. Come on. Wonder Space Explorers, rice needs a lot of water to grow, like a lot. Behind me, it looks like it's flooded, but it's not. If you look closer, you can see channels of water. These are known as irrigation systems, and the water is pumped from a water source all the way here so that the rice can grow in lots and lots of water. So if you look closely, you can see some raised beds. It looks like soil that's been piled up. These were made intentionally by the farmer to make sure the water stays in one place. The rice plant starts growing in a nursery paddy field. After a few weeks, the seedlings are transplanted to a larger field. And this helps the rice to grow and grow and grow. They add things like fertilizer to help the rice grow even more. And then 3 to 4 months later, the rice is ready for harvest. But they have to drain all the water away again before they're able to do that. So rice needs what? A lot of water, as you can see. Behind me is a beautiful landscape. Doesn't it look lovely? Now, what looks like grass, it looks like grass, doesn't it? It's actually rice growing. What do we say? Rice belongs to the grass family. So it actually really does look like grass, but it's rice that's growing. I'm walking on the raised beds, which are known as ponds. There's water to my left and water to my right. The water channel is to my right. And we have the ponds where the rice is supposed to grow on this side. I hope I don't fall in. Can you see the really cool cool tractor behind me. This tractor has some serious blades. Can you see those sharp blades? That's done so that the tractor doesn't get stuck in all the mud. And behind, they've got some blades as well to break up the soil even more. It's really important that they break up the soil. I'm getting on the tractor. Wish me luck. I'm a farmer now on the Space Explorers. Wonder Space Explorers, have you ever wondered what fully grown rice looks like? This. You have the blades of grass, you have the stalk, but you have the most important part, which is the grain. Can you see all the grains? It looks so cool. This is rice. This is how rice grows. I'm going to pull some off. Ooh. I'm getting some grains in my palm. All right, so these grains are known as paddy. And later we'll see how this goes from this to the rice that we find on our table. And behind me, you can see acres and acres and acres of rice being grown, about 25 acres. That's so much rice. All this is rice. And guess what? Mr. Cashew said they are harvesting the rice tomorrow. So we saw the rice just before it got harvested. Let me pull some more grains off. Wow! If you look really carefully, you can see a thin layer of net covering the rice. Why? This is to keep the birds away because the birds like to eat the grains. And Mr. Cashew said that some of the grains are actually milky before it's ready. So they like to feed on the milky rice grains. Sounds yummy, so they have to protect it from the birds, and that's why there's the netting all the way down. That must be a huge stretch of netting. Let's go and see what the rice looks like after this step. Come on. Remember that we said that they were going to harvest the fully grown rice. Well, the machine behind me is what they use to harvest the rice, and it's called a combined harvester. So the front here, you can see this intense machinery. This is how they harvest the rice. So this machine is able to harvest the rice by pulling it out, cutting off the stalks, separating the grains, and then the grains get poured out into bags. Come and let me show you where the grains pour out from. So the grains you saw in my palm, those are separated from the stalk and the blades. And the grains will come out of here and there'll be a big bag and it fills up the bag with grains of rice. Behind me, we have bags and bags of rice. Grains that have been separated by the combined harvester. So remember, the grains or the paddy is separated and we have the bags full of rice. So these grains of rice or paddy has to go through a milling process. If you can see really carefully, it still has the husks. So the husks are still covering each grain. So when it goes through a milling process, they take off the first layer, which is the husk, and then in the polishing process, they take off the second layer, which is the bran. And then that's how we get the white rice on our tables. And we can make jollof and wache. That was amazing. We learned so much about how rice grows and how rice is processed or milled. I hope you learned a lot too. I had so much fun. I had a lot of fun riding that tractor. I brought some rice back from the farm and it's so cool to see the grains. It's dried a little more, so they are falling off much easier. Over here, we have the grains drooping down. This part of the rice is known as the flowering part or the panicle, and that's where the grains are formed. I'm just going to pull off some more grains. Ooh. What were some of the interesting things for you on the farm? For me, I thought it was amazing that it actually looks like grass. Remember that we said that rice belongs to the grass family? When it was growing, it really did look like grass. Now, with a fully grown rice plant here, That means I actually have seeds. These grains also act as rice seeds. Should I grow some rice? What do I need to do to grow rice? What steps do I need to take? Can you help me? That's right, I need lots and lots and lots of water. But do I have enough water to be able to grow rice? We need to soak the rice seeds. Then we need to plant the rice seeds. At the farm, they planted the rice seeds in a rice or paddy nursery. Then, when it grew for about a month, they would transplant it to the bigger rice or paddy field that was filled with water. The rice grows and grows and grows, and then afterwards they drain the water. And then the rice grows and grows some more until you have a fully grown rice plant like this. I think I'll leave the rice growing to the professionals. Wonder Space Explorers, what can we make with rice? That's right, we talked about jollof and wache earlier, but what else? We have rice balls, which is known as amutio in Ghana. You can also make rice porridge, fried rice, or a spicy rice drink known as lamuji. There are other interesting uses of rice. The parts of the plant that we don't eat can be used for things like rice fabric, fertilizer, fuel, baskets, mats, and more. Let's talk a little more about rice fabric. What is that? The stems of the rice plant are used to create the fabric because of the fiber. At the Agro Kings farm that we visited, some parts of the rice plants are used to feed the animals. It's known as livestock feed. Now that part is specifically the bran layer that covers the rice, and that's removed during the milling process. Some parts of the rice plant are also used as fuel to power the generators and pumps. That's really amazing, so nothing goes to waste. Wonder Space Explorers, on my table, I have two types of rice. I have white rice and I have brown rice. Do you ever eat brown rice? Brown rice is said to have lots and lots of nutrients. After harvesting the rice, farmers need to make sure that the rice is dry. They might dry it in the sun or in special machines. When that's done, it goes through the milling process. Remember, we talked about the milling process? And what happens is they take off the husk. When they take off the husk, you get brown rice. Now, brown rice has the bran layers around it. When they take off that bran layer and polish it, that's when we get white rice. Wonder Space Explorers, can you guess what time it is? That's right, it's time for our activity. What are we going to do today? You are going to grow something. Do you think you can grow some rice? Well, that might be a little difficult, so I picked something else that might be easier to grow at home. You're going to grow some beans. Are you ready to grow some beans? What you need will be some beans. You can get some different colored beans. You're going to need paper towels and a Ziploc bag, or you can have cotton wool and a plastic container. So for this activity, you're going to be learning to grow as well as take care of your plants. What do farmers do? They grow things and they take care of plants, and then we have some food. So as you're growing your bean plant, you're learning some skills of a farmer. Before we start having fun planting, I want us to talk about two things: the parts of a bean and how the bean plant grows. Now, the bean has three parts that we're going to talk about: the seed coat that protects the seed, the embryo, which is the baby plant inside. We also have the cotyledon, which stores the plant's food. So what are the three parts? The seed coat, the embryo, and the cotyledon. 3 parts of the bean. Now, how does it grow? What do plants need to grow, or what do seeds need to start growing? We're going to learn a new term, germinate. That's a process by which a seed begins to grow or sprout. What do plants need to start growing? Can you help me, Wonder Space Explorers? That's right, light, the right temperature, water, and some soil. For this activity, we're going to start the process without soil because we're going to be using our paper towels or cotton wool, but we'll still have our water, light, and the right temperature. Are you ready to start? Let's go! Okay, so I'm going to show you 2 methods that you can use. The first one, you're going to need a paper towel and a Ziploc bag. If you want the beans to sprout very quickly, you can always soak the beans in some water the night before. So first, you need to make your paper towel damp. I'm just going to spray some water on there. You take your beans and space your beans out. Space it out. Space. Okay. All you need to do when you finish placing your beans down, cover that over with the other side of the paper towel. Seal that up. Okay. You can fold the ends so the beans don't fall out. You can slide it into your Ziploc bag. Now remember, the bean at this stage needs what? It needs light, water, and the right temperature. So when you seal your bag, you can put this near a window. All right, so I tried this experiment and I was so excited because in just 2 days, I saw some results. If you look very carefully, you can see exactly what we talked about. The seeds are starting to germinate or sprout. Now what's happened? The seed coat is beginning to split and the root is beginning to form. How cool! Can you see? Let me put it on the black part so that you can see. So the seed coat split and the root is beginning to form. We have different varieties here. Let me put them here so you can see. I'm so excited because if you monitor it yourself, when you try this at home, I want you to look carefully, check it daily, and see when does a seed coat start to split? When does the root start to form? For me, it took just 2 days. In 2 days, you will see results. Now, the other method you can use is you can get an old bottle and you can cut. So you have a little plastic jar. And then, if you have some cotton wool, you can place the cotton wool in the plastic cup. All right, you can fill it up a little more. And then, once again, you need to make the cotton wool damp. And then when you have that, remember you'll have a lot more cotton wool in there. You can place your seeds. Remember to space it out so that they have room to start sprouting or germinating. So 2 days ago, I tried the other method as well, where we use the plastic cups and cotton wool. Okay, and look, it's growing already. We can see the seeds germinating. It's sprouting even more than the ones on the paper towel. If you do use the cotton wool method, you want to make sure that you are very gentle when you're taking the seeds off the cotton wool, because the root that's beginning to form is attached to the cotton wool. So it doesn't matter if you take some of the cotton wool with you, okay? So let me show you. I'm so excited. They've all grown. See, the cotton wool is coming with me. It's really exciting seeing the process of germination. I want to show you something. You have to be looking really closely. You can see the tiny leaves in there. Can you see it? Come closer. When I open it up, you can see the baby plants, the embryo that will grow upwards and be the shoots. Wow. So now I'm going to move the seeds from our cotton wool and cup or paper towel and Ziploc bag, and I'm going to plant them in some soil. We need to space them out to make sure that it grows. Wonder Space Explorers, I hope that you are excited to plant your own beans. There's some things that I want you to pay attention to when you start the process, either in the plastic cup with cotton or glass jar with cotton, or you use the paper towels with a Ziploc bag. I want you to look carefully to see how the seed begins to sprout or germinate. How long will it take the seed to sprout or germinate? I also want you to pay attention to how much it grows each day. And then lastly, I want you to check out what part of the plant appears first. Remember, when a seed begins to sprout or germinates, the seed coat splits and then pew, a little root sticks out which continues to grow. And then soon you'll be able to transfer your seeds from the cotton wool or the paper towel into some soil. What should I do with these? That's right, I should put it near some light. And what should I do? I should water it regularly. I can't wait to see what your bean plant will look like. I'm excited and I can't wait to see these plants grow. Wonder Space Explorers, I finally decided what I wanted to have for lunch. Jollof! All our talk about rice got me really hungry, and I'm really excited to dig into this plate of jollof. But before I do, isn't it amazing that we've seen the plants, the rice plant, grow from the farm in this state to when it's milled and processed to become white rice, packaged in bags, sent to stores. We buy it, cook the rice in different forms, and we have things like jollof. I'm going to have a lovely time. It's delicious. Wonder Space Explorers, let me finish chewing. Always remember, as I say at the end of our lessons, Wonder Space Explorers are wonderful. You are wonderful. Join us next time. Bye.
Our heritage is all we have, and as the years unfold without proper archiving, we may lose it. From the days of oral storytelling and now to having a whole library filled with hundreds of thousands of books to help us remember our heritage. Paul Ninson, an archivist, photographer, founder and executive director of Dikain, will be our guest.
This is the last clock of Kwame Nkrumah in Kokri, Guinea, in his office, his last office.
It's heavy, yeah?
Yes. This is Kwame Nkrumah's last pen in his office in Kokri, Guinea.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Accompanying him will be Ancient Ghana Band, who took us back home to our indigenous music. Join Selorm Adonoo this Sunday on the Upside Down Show at 7 p.m. prompt, only on Channel 1 TV.
Where politics meets power, where the tough questions are asked, welcome to Face to Face. Every Tuesday at 9 p.m., join Selorm Adonoo as he takes you face to face with the key players shaping the future of our nation.
I lost over $10 million at the trade fair.
You had a fight with the management of trade fair?
I don't have a fight with them. I just deplore the way they went about what they did.
Let's talk about the chief prosecutor of the state at the time that you were being prosecuted, Godfrey Yeboah Dame, the Attorney General.
Yes. I think he was directed to jail us.
By who?
By the system.
Boko has been a failure for your government, though.
Can't be a failure.
You have not solved it.
No, you are not praising them, the previous government for solving Yendi, which was even a more difficult case.
It's quite obvious that from these votes, the people felt that let's just let you go.
So they were disappointed
in us.
You are essentially the worst government in the Fourth Republic.
I don't know how you are doing that. If you based on the indicators.
Yes, based on the number of people who refuse to come and vote for you.
If that is your analysis, then why not?
No filter, no boundaries, just the truth behind the headlines. Deep, bold, and unflinching. Face to Face with Selorm Adonoo airs on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. only on Channel 1 TV, where politics gets real.
Looking for the latest buzz in Ghana's entertainment world? Welcome to Ghana Weekend, your ultimate destination for all things creativity and entertainment.
Stay in the loop with breaking news, exclusive interviews, and then insider stories from your favorite creatives and stars. From music, movies, fashion and art, lifestyle and culture, Ghana Weekend brings it all together. Get a daily dose of entertainment, discover new talents, and never miss out on the creativity that defines our vibrant culture.
Stay connected with us across all platforms. Follow us on Instagram with the handle Ghana Weekend, on X Ghana Weekend, on TikTok Ghana Weekend, at Ghana Weekend TV on YouTube for the latest in entertainment, travel, and everything Ghana. Don't miss out. Join the Ghana Weekend family today. Ghana Weekend, where entertainment meets creativity. Visit GhanaWeekend.com now.
Ago.
This is Channel 1 TV. You're welcome to a celebration of our culture and Ghanaian music. Ama Enikufi, how are you doing? And I hope marriage is treating you well. Well, this is where you find yourselves now. Now you are no longer children. Life is what you make of it. Nana Mpedu once said, Obra any warabo, or si oya abofrano, nane ho pre no, so obeye penny. Then so obeye penny no who say abrabo enough form. If your marriage will work, it depends on both of you. Whatever will happen, you are responsible for that. Fise obra any warabo. Inchim obra.
Ono arao, overa, yanewaru. Me ya bofra noa, le to mami di no